Cool. Marshall, I think we're live. So, welcome everybody. Oh, I need to plug in my headphones.
You sure do.
Well,
hey, I can see myself on YouTube at my left. This is exciting.
Nice. Oh, Marshall, do you have your speakers on your left?
No.
I can hear you. I can hear myself from your speakers.
No.
Marshall, do you have your speakers on your left?
Is it somebody else?
No, nobody else is on.
That one has the sound.
Can you turn off YouTube? Hi everybody, we got our awkward intro in.
No question about that. There's no sound coming out of that computer.
Okay, and I don't hear anything anymore, so
okay.
That was it. I don't know how that was it, but it was it. Welcome everybody to our very first Draftsman Live. You are live. I don't know how to call it. We are live, and also we're going to be taking live voice calls. So instead of listening to voicemails where people leave us a message, we're actually going to have people join us so we can talk to you, so we can actually ask follow-up questions, and no more it depends.
Oh, wow, that's what? It depends can be answered right here live.
Right. We can ask. So
yeah,
what is
therapy?
Oh, wow, I don't know about that. But yeah. So if you guys want to ask a question live, there's a link or URL right there.
Yeah.
PROKO.com/540, and that'll take you to a PROKO page with a bunch of instructions. You're going to go to Discord and go into a live voice room thing, and eventually we'll let you in, maybe. There's a bunch of people in there already waiting to get their questions answered, so...
Do we talk about numbers on here, like how many people are in there? Is that private?
It's not private. I think everybody could see that joins.
Everybody can see how many people are in here?
Well, actually, I don't know. The waiting room has 10 max. I don't know how many people are in the other rooms. It doesn't matter.
So it's sort of, yeah. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, we've limited the waiting room to 10 so we can actually screen people without it being out of control. But anyway, Marshall, how are you?
Wow. I'm just hoping I'm ready for this live Draftsman podcast where we're going to answer questions live. I'm a little nervous about it.
You should be.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm doing well. And you've been really busy with live things every day, haven't you?
Well, my team has. Not necessarily me, but yeah. My team has. I have 3 live streams this week. I have this one. Tomorrow, Karla Ortiz is.
Oh, Karla Ortiz, yeah.
Yeah, the PROKO challenge is over. The huge one, the one with like $25,000 of prizes. It's done. We were supposed to announce I'm spitting. We're supposed to announce the winners today, but the video got delayed. So I'm sorry, guys. It's going out tomorrow. But also, she's going to be streaming tomorrow after the video comes out, and I'll be joining her. And then on Friday, we're kind of capping out. We're closing out the whole launch party thing. It's the last day of the launch, and we are. I think I'm going to be doing a charcoal portrait drawing. Well, no, it's not. Sorry, not charcoal. It's charcoal powder with graphite on top. It's like the method I use for my more finished portrait drawings. I really like it. It gets like really smooth gradations and then like real detail on top of it. So I'm going to be demonstrating that on Friday.
And the thing with Karla tomorrow is the movie poster of your life.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
this says it's been the best challenge so far. Like, and not because of the prizes. I mean, those are amazing. All the sponsors were, so cool to give so many prizes. But like, the submissions were so good. We really had a difficult time choosing. It's incredible. Like, I don't think I've ever been looking through them like I really don't know what to pick.
Oh.
And I wasn't picking the winner, but for the PROKO team choice. The team we all have to like look through and like select a bunch, and then we all vote. And like I couldn't figure out what to vote for. There's so many good ones, but
it's a real problem, but it is a good problem, and it's just more evidence of the wave of what's happening right now.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with the community so far. It's been
Great.
really cool to see everybody at the launch, participating and helping each other. Thank you guys. So now we're gonna try to help you a little bit. So
Okay.
I think we should probably there's 2 people in the Ready channel. I'm gonna
Okay.
let in Comer.
Okay.
All right, Cohen,
Oh.
can you hear us?
Hi, Cohen.
I was just having a conversation
Woo!
with someone in the ready room.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, you're loud.
Oh,
boy.
sorry.
Oh, I think it's
It's not your fault, Cohen.
Not your
it's
fault.
the fault of technology.
Probably the user volume. If you know how to turn it down, you just click on my profile, and then there should be a slider that says user volume.
Oh,
Or no,
really?
you need to.
Oh, there. Oh, wow.
Oh,
Oh,
knows
wow.
this.
Thank you, Cohen.
Cohen's an old pro.
There you
I've
go.
been on this-
Oh,
I'm
wow.
also- But I have been on Discord for a couple of years. But yeah,
Well,
I'll
Today
get-
you're on the
before-
PROKO team.
Before we get into my, I guess, yeah, there's also options for like mute and deafen if they're
Yeah.
particularly loud. So there's
Okay.
a whole bunch of stuff you can adjust there.
Nice. Thank you.
Let's see.
But,
But
well,
hello.
is it pronounced Cohen or Soen?
Yeah, in my native language, it's pronounced a different way, but I've been told since that it means something very different and very inappropriate, and I'm not sure if I should say it on here. So,
Okay, probably not.
I'm not gonna press.
Let's just go to your question then.
let's
let's-
just move on from there.
What's your question?
Should I say that loud?
The question? Yeah. Not your inappropriate name, but your question.
No, don't worry. No, but yeah, Dutch people will know what it's called. I don't know if they'll actually know the inappropriate word, but I'm gonna stop talking about that.
Okay.
Basically, I'm just gonna be reading this out like it was.
That's
a
fine.
voicemail.
Okay,
Hi
sounds
there.
good.
My name is Cohen, and I'm a beginner/intermediate student interested in creature design and illustration. I've been thinking about getting a mentorship this summer because I'll have plenty of free time, not only to do the actual mentorship itself, but also to work on what I've learned from it. But my issue lies with the fact that it's pretty expensive for how much money I have right now, which could be remedied if I get a summer job, but that would take up a lot more time, so I'd have less free time to actually work on stuff and get a lot of drawing done. So my question is, should I, opt for like the mentorship so I have less time to draw but more quality time, or should I just get as much mileage in as I possibly can?
Go ahead, Marshall.
This is one of those questions where we don't have to say it depends, because you're here.
Yeah.
How
We're free. It
yeah,
depends
how
is over.
important? The first question I'd ask is, how important is the mentorship as a mentorship to you? And let me take 1 minute to elaborate. There are some people who do fine without mentorships because they self-diagnose well. They know how to learn. They can listen to somebody critique someone else and then say, here's how that applies to me. There are some people who don't need it that much. There are other people who deeply need it because they just learn better socially. So there is the first thing, is on that spectrum. It's something that might be worth taking a week to assess, Cohen, to say, on that spectrum, how important is it to me that I have a mentor with whom I'm in regular contact, voice to voice, or not? And if it isn't really far over on the scale of that I really do need someone to talk about this, that I'm going to pay money to, if it isn't really far over on that scale, then that's where you start to consider other options besides paying a mentor. That's my first thought.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh well, go ahead. I guess go ahead and answer.
No,
Yeah,
go
you-
ahead. If you wanna, say something, feel free to.
Well,
It's
why
your
don't you tell us
podcast.
about that? Are you
Yeah.
really socially I don't want to use the word needy because it's got such negative connotations.
Use
But-
it anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
Do I
are you
work
socially
well?
needy where that's that important to you?
I mean, I've been mostly self-taught. I don't like calling it self-taught because 90% of it was from tutorials like you make, Stan, which are very helpful.
Thank you.
So it always feels like I'm doing a disservice to those people who work hard to make tutorials when I say I'm fully self-taught. But in the traditional sense of how most people would say it, I am mostly self-taught, and just I've been learning through tutorials. I've been learning through hanging out with a lot of my friends, and just getting critiques. And I feel like I'm pretty good at it, but I've noticed lately that my art improvement is going a bit slower than I expected. So I figured, hey, I've never really had like a full mentorship before. Maybe it could be really helpful. So I figured, let's just look for someone who's open for mentorships and try it out. But then I bumped into the whole price issue.
Okay, so you're not needy. You have learned. You've done it on your own.
I'm doing fine enough on my own, but I feel like it could really jump starts my art progress if I take a mentorship.
So Cohen, I think that the answer here is you should probably try it. It could be extremely useful for you, but don't be afraid if you start and you realize that this mentorship sucks. Don't be afraid to walk away and just keep going on your own and look for other mentorships. Because, it is a waste of time if you're getting bad advice and if you can tell that this person doesn't care about you or whatever it is. So try it out. It might be great. You might love it. You might want to build a relationship with this person. And if not, just walk away. It's totally fine. And the other thing is you're really young, I think. And you have a lot of time. I don't think that you're going to be spending all of your waking hours on drawing if you don't take this mentorship. You're still going to have, there's 168 hours in a week. If you take away the time where you're sleeping, let's say 8 hours a day, right? You're sleeping the full 8 hours.
And, I don't sleep as much as that.
Okay, but let's just even say someone does sleep 8 hours a day. You still have 112 hours left. Okay, if you're spending 40 full hours with this mentor, right, or whatever this mentor is assigning to you, you still have a crap load of hours left. Like if you don't have a job, what else are you going to be doing other than playing video games, watching TV, hanging out with friends, doing all these other things, which is still going to be the majority of that time that's remaining is you got to fill it with something. So I would say it would be wise to fill it with a mentorship and practice drawing while you're young and you don't have as many responsibilities as you will in a decade. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's that. Marshall, I think we need to...
I have a feeling that there's going to be a number of questions that are like this.
Yeah.
About whether I should have a mentorship or not. Cohen, let's get back to you for a moment. One of the things that Stan brought up, one of the first things he brought up is to try a mentorship with a loose hand. You don't need to commit to this thing. You can try it and see how it goes. And that's part of your composing your education. That's part of your composing your career, that if something isn't working and doesn't hold promise, you know to let it go. And if something seems like an investment that you're paying someone to help you and it really is helping and you feel like it's a good investment, that is when you venture out into it without much commitment to start. I'm assuming that you have listened to those 8 podcasts we did on art school as project.
I'm going to be honest here. I think I listened to the first 3 or 4 or 5. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah. You should listen to all of them. That is, I feel like I don't need to talk about this anymore because that had so much in it that you can extract from there. And one last bit of encouragement. You may get feedback. A couple times, I wanted a mentor so badly. And I had a few more mentors, but not really in art and drawing. But I wanted a mentor so badly because there was so much I didn't know, and I did not know how to adjust. But if you are in a state of, I really need this, then sometimes the tiniest bit of wisdom from someone you admire can be pivotal in your life. And I've told stories about that, how that happened with me. To sit down with an artist I admired, and he only needed to give me just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe a half hour when I was lucky, and to explain to me some things that I didn't understand. And then it's the student's job, it's the mentee's job to go run with that for 6 months or a year or 6 years. So your desire for mentorship, the good thing about it is that if somebody gives you something worthwhile, you're ready for it. And the contrast to that kind of personality that knows how to take wisdom and apply it in their own work is the person on the other side that is constantly absorbing YouTube videos and instruction, and it never gets into them. They never apply it. They hear the ideas and they, oh, that's interesting, and they talk about it with friends, but it never makes its way into the work.
Yeah. Marshall, I feel really bad. There's a giant list of people trying to get in. So
okay, yeah,
but yeah, thank you, Cohen.
I feel kind of bad too, but I didn't want to interrupt. I
Yeah.
just want to say before I go, Stan, your profile picture is really nice.
The one of my son. Well, people can't see it, but it's just it's a picture of my son. Cool. Thank you, Cohen.
Yeah.
All right.
Guys, have a nice day.
Bye. All right. Next, we're gonna bring in Itachi Uchiha.
Uchida.
Uchida?
It might be Uchida.
It's an H, but okay.
The last name of a famous, marvelous interpreter of Mozart. I don't know if you know that. Mitsuko Uchida.
What's up, Itachi?
Itachi, are you there?
Uh-oh. We're going to have to bring you back into the other room. All right, I'm going to try someone else. Justin. What's up, Justin?
Hi, Justin.
Oh.
Are you
He's not ready.
Surprised that you're actually on live?
Very. I've kind of been freaking out since I've been put into this chat. I mean, wow.
Okay. Cheers, all right, Justin, what's up, man? What's your question?
Really
I feel like everybody's gonna be like, "What? Oh, what's going on right now?"
I didn't know I was live.
This is gonna get really old, really fast.
Oh my goodness.
So,
wow.
Justin, what's your question?
Go for it.
Should I just read off my
yes,
the thing that I wrote? Okay.
Yeah.
So I started drawing about a year ago, and right now I'm a little stuck in the direction that I'm kind of going towards. I've kind of just been focusing on anatomy, and I've kind of just been incorporating quick sketches and value sketches. And so I haven't really done any projects. I've mainly been only doing studying, and I kind of want to go deeper into fundamentals. So I want to take at least some classes and maybe find a mentor at some point, hopefully soon. And I would love to hear, kind of how you guys kind of got through these periods of maybe either burnout, kind of going forward and going to the next level, because I think we've all kind of been through the plateaus, and really any other habits, kind of procedures, and kind of your mentality kind of going into these things.
That's a big question.
Yeah, Marshall, did we answer that exact question on like one of our recent recordings? I don't think it's been published yet, but I feel like it's like the same.
We might have, but I can give a short answer to this.
Yeah, I'm just saying it sounded like exactly the same.
It's such a big question, and the temptation to try to make it sound easy or pat, or to make it discouraging is, there's always sorts of ways to answer it. But it's a bit like asking a moth that got out of the cocoon. Do moths get out of cocoons? I don't want to liken myself to a butterfly, but to say, how did you get out of the cocoon? What was your mentality doing it? It's always a struggle. There are times when you do things for too long and you realize, I wasted an extra year struggling with that, when if I had been wiser, I would have gotten through it. There's times when you don't stay in it long enough. So you are struggling with, the first thing I got out of that was whether to keep training where you're getting skills, or whether to be project oriented where you're working on a project. And at least you are aware of that dynamic, that polarity. And at some point you keep struggling between those two differences, and you'll say, I just need to get on a project. I've got to have something to show. or you say, I've got to stop doing projects because they are not coming out to the level I want them until I have gone into the woodshed and worked on my chops for a while. So those are you are at least on the way this way. You recognize that there's a dynamic between the process of working on skill without showing a product for it and the working on a product that it doesn't make any difference what the process was. Well, I hope that's helpful.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, when I was studying, I spent a lot of time on personal projects because that's where my interests were. But my projects were all very much aligned with the things I was studying as well. They weren't just like totally 180 degrees from what I was studying. I mean, the things I was studying were inspiring me to do specific projects. And so they went together. But I never hesitated to start a project. If I woke up one morning and I was just like super motivated to do something and explore an idea, I would do it because I didn't really have any responsibilities. I was living with my parents and I had the freedom to just like do stuff. And if you are in that position, do it. Explore and learn. And don't lose your drive. Like if you do too much homework and exercises, you're gonna lose the fun. And then you won't even want to do your own projects anymore.
Yeah. Well, Justin, you asked about mentality. There's one thing I know about mentality is that the more you approach it with desire and passion and love and just this is what I want to do, the more you have that in you, in the long run, I think the better it's going to be.
Yeah.
So that's something to listen to. The idea of that your hunger, your thirst, tell you a lot about what your body needs, and so you listen to that and you say, I'm going to be happier doing that, and you try it and say, I'm not happier doing that, but if it was to adjust this way, chasing loves counts for a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I found that because I don't really doing any projects, really just constantly doing these studies. In the first 5 months I started drawing, it was fine. And then I kind of burnt out. And then, so now it's definitely a lot slower process, but I mean, I definitely I still enjoy what I'm making, even though like it's definitely, I don't really want to sit down all the time and put pencil to papers because it's a little jarring sometimes, or it's like, oh my goodness, I know it's going to take a long time, or, just kind of studying, again. So
that's what I meant when I said it's a struggle.
Yeah.
There is no way to make there's no way to build your skills and let alone make a career without a great deal of unpleasantness and struggle. Therefore, if you're doing it because you choose to do it, then you take responsibility for that struggle. But the specifics about you and what you need to work on, that has to be assessed with your own discernment, and if you're in community with the people around you whom you trust.
Yeah, one thing about projects, when you're doing things that you're actually excited about, is you'll come across gaps in your knowledge. You'll be doing something and you realize, like, I really suck at perspective, whatever it is. And it's just preventing you from doing that project. And now you have motivation to go study perspective in order to get better at this project. So they go together. You have to have a good balance between the two, and one will motivate you to do the other. If you're just too far on one side, the whole thing will just collapse and you won't want to do either one anymore. Yeah. So you have to constantly be making sure that you're doing both, and you're doing both well. I don't know what that even means, but yeah, I guess I know what it means. Like, for example, the studying thing, the studying should never really be boring. It should never be, well, at least, I don't know, maybe, Marshall, you said it's a struggle. It never was a struggle for me. I loved it.
Studying is not a struggle for some of us. Studying is something I would love to do for hours a day if I could justify it. Yes, studying is like eating.
Okay.
Whereas as the working on your skills is like exercising, and sometimes you just feel like I'd rather
Okay.
just go back to something easier.
But even that, like working on my skills, like maybe it was because I was at an atelier where my friends were all around me, and going to quick sketch class was really fun. Maybe that's what it was. But if I was just at home doing it on my own all the time, maybe it wouldn't have been as motivating. I don't know. But that maybe is what I meant by doing it correctly or well. Is that like if you're studying and you realize that you're losing motivation, you're missing something. There's something else you need to add to this routine. Maybe all it will take is to go sketch outside instead of stuck in the same bedroom or whatever. Maybe just the environment change will help you be motivated to draw. And you don't have to draw what's around you. You could just bring, your reference photos or whatever with you and just sit in the park and draw, and that might make it way more exciting for you. Or go to a coffee shop and get the energy of people walking around. Like it could be whatever it is, depending on your personality. But if you're noticing that studying is difficult and you're finding a challenge to stay motivated, you got to change something, because eventually that will you'll burn out. You can't keep forcing yourself to do it.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Justin, do you listen to this podcast a lot?
I think I've watched every single one.
Okay, yeah, because we have talked about this, and you've heard me talk many times, maybe too many times, about the Psychology of Performance by Dr. Eddie O'Connor, however we go. Well, Stan, I'm going to go ahead and reveal that we have him as a guest.
Yeah, I already knew that, but yeah. What?
Yeah, we're going to have the real guy who put the course together and wrote that guidebook. He has a lot to say about this stuff. The most I've ever found in any one single source. And I know it's about performance, but it's about performance of your study habits and your training habits and what you can learn from athletes who their livelihood is based on being at the top of their game. It's so motivating. That's okay. Just wait. 3 or 4 weeks from now.
3 or 4 weeks. Wow.
Well, no, that's when we're gonna record, right?
No, I've already recorded it.
Oh, you already recorded it?
Yeah, we already did that. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't there, so I don't.
It's in Charlie's. It's in Charlie's court now.
Okay. Well, anyway, thank you, Justin. I'm really excited. I've been looking at the next guy up. His name is Rob Boss. And I don't know, Marshall, if you know what that
name.
Well, it's not Bob Ross.
Rob Boss. Okay.
Rob Boss. If you have anyway, I'm gonna let him in. Thank you so much, Justin, for your question.
Thanks, Justin.
Too much saying to Marshall.
Yep. All right. Bye. Okay. Here, I'll let him in, and then we'll see if. What's up, Rob Boss?
Hey, Rob.
Okay.
Hello. Okay. Well, while he figures out his microphone, Rob Boss is.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Oh my god. Okay.
What's up,
Hi.
Rob Boss? Are you the real Rob Boss?
No, I'm not the real Rob Boss.
All right. So Marshall, okay, sorry, Rob, I'm gonna cut you off. But Rob Boss was my fake Bob Ross when I did like the impersonation video for April Fools, like 6 years ago.
So this is an homage to you.
I think. I don't know. Is it, Rob? Did you watch my video on Bob Ross?
No.
No?
No.
That's hilarious.
Great minds think alike, and you
Yeah,
both came up with the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually I got this name from Ryan Higa.
Oh, okay. I don't know who Ryan Higa is, but
Yeah.
cool. Okay. Well, anyway, Rob, what's your question?
Okay, so my question is, so I have to read it. My name is Brian, and I am a student who want to be a professional 3D artist, especially in modeling or animation. I don't know, but I kind of confused about that. But
Okay, I was too actually when I was first starting. I wanted to do both, but yeah.
Yeah. But
sorry, keep going.
My question is, how to learn traditional art more effectively and not get frustrated when I fail to make art as I expected. And is it important for me to be good at drawing figure or human head or anything else realistically in order to be a better 3D artist? Thank you.
I have
go
a
first?
quick answer. You don't get rid of the frustration, Rob. That is an essential element for you to want to improve. If you're never frustrated, you're never gonna want to improve, and you'll stop trying. So the frustration is part of it. It's part of being an artist. You're gonna have to learn to just use your frustration to your advantage, and funnel it into healthy reactions.
Yeah.
That's my.
Gabriel
Yeah, go
Rico
ahead.
has a wonderful quote in Writing the Natural Way that was not from her, but it was from somebody she quoted that said, asking for no conflict, I'm paraphrasing, asking for no conflict is asking for something that's unnatural.
Yeah.
It's just not, it doesn't happen in life. So it's a matter of choosing the conflicts that you're willing to take on. So yeah, I agree, Stan. What was the next part? There was the other question about the traditional.
The figure. Do you need to learn how to draw the figure in order to do modeling and animation? Well, I mean, if you're going to learn how to animate, you will probably be animating people. But if you're doing all 3D animation, like if that's where you're going, you don't have to be really that good at figure drawing. But I would understand gesture, and I mean, it's so. And the best way I think to learn gesture is through drawing. You don't have to learn how to shade. Like shading is not going to help you be a better animator. That's all the science of light and form, and it's not about motion and storytelling.
Yeah.
But it really kind of depends. Like, do you know what you want to animate and what you want to model? Because if modeling will require you to know, like if you're going to be modeling characters that have human forms, you should learn some anatomy of the human body.
Indeed.
How are you going to model it if you don't understand those forms?
Right.
Yeah.
And even rigging, if you're going to animate, rigging
yeah.
lets you know where the pivots,
Yeah.
swivels, axes, all that.
Oh, okay. So if I want to be a 3D artist and I want to good at figure drawing at the same time, it's okay, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, sure.
They're related. They're very much related to each other. It's not you're not studying two completely different disciplines. They go together pretty well.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's an analogy, I think, between the piano and the orchestra. It's like saying, well, I want to play the double bass in an orchestra. Do I need to learn the piano? And the answer is no, you don't need to learn the piano. Does it help to learn the piano? Sure. It helps anybody to know the piano and to know how the different instruments are. The reason, Brian, the reason why this is, I'll always take the first thing I'll take will be the most open answer I can give you. If you were to say, if you're going to be a good animator and you're going to be a good modeler, you better learn life drawing, and you'd better learn anatomy, and you'd better learn light and shade, and you better learn gesture. There will always be some defiant student who likes to hear that so that they can say, watch me. I'm going to deliberately not study this, and this that the teacher said so that I can do better than anyone else and prove them wrong. There are some people that they take anything as a challenge. And so they're right. But why would you not want to study life drawing with traditional media? And the answer may be, it's going to be a time suck. And I don't love it that much. And I love what I can do with a 3D program. And the people I've known who have done the best with 3D programs are people who just like what the 3D program offers them. They like the fact that they've got a virtual modeling studio. They like the fact they've got a virtual photo studio. They like the fact that all those old-time animators had such trouble, and if they had to move the camera, it was impossible. And I can move the camera and create an imaginary track and put lights in there that won't show up in front of the camera. All the excitement of what they can do with these new tools. They love it, and they don't need to put their energy into working with charcoal on newsprint to get better at that. So, yes, each discipline can help the other. In your case, I sometimes come across students who just love 3D, And if you love 3D, what could be better than loving 3D right now in history, where that's where most imagery is generated? Great time to be in love with that.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Rob. We're gonna
Okay.
move on.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Brian.
Brian? Wait, was his name real Brian?
His real name's Brian.
Oh, I missed that. Okay. Okay, we're gonna try Itachi again. He's back into he's back in the ready room.
Itachi, and I want to hear how you pronounce your name.
What's up, Itachi?
Oh, okay.
Itachi, come on! This is your
here?
second.
Oh,
Oh, there you go.
I didn't know. I
Yeah.
was still watching your stream. I thought I just got in. Hi, Stan. Hey, Marshall.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? The question, I have like a problem on now. I just want to read the question. I'm lost right now, and I don't really know how to keep on track. I studied head and gesture drawing for almost a year now, but I wanted to do some digital painting. So I do and redo some fundamentals from controlpaint.com. The problem is that I think after taking a break on my figure and head drawing studies, I think my skills on it get sluggish and I feel like I've lost my track at doing figure drawing. I'm still learning, so I still need to improve on my fundamentals, but I'm feeling down every time I compare my past figure drawing than my current one. I'm not sure if this is just a pretty common or it happened from time to time, but is it really possible to lose your skills at something in just a month or two? And my figure is like I post something on the Discord. Here's my past and current head and figure studies. The last one is my current figure drawing, but
Where are you posting? Sorry. Did you say you just
I
posted
can't see
these?
it.
on Discord
Yeah. Oh, did you put it in like the questions thread? Is that?
with the image and kind of like
Yeah, but where? I don't-
wait. Reply.
If you want to share your screen with the images, or I don't know.
Wait, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna resend it the image.
But where are you sending it?
Oh, where should I send it? And
I mean, yeah, Discord, but where in Discord? There's we have like 10 channels in here, and are you putting it in the questions channel?
the questions channel.
Okay, got it. Okay, then I'll okay, Marshall, it's gonna go over your face.
It's all right.
Pop. There it is.
Oh, I
Okay.
like it.
Okay, these are all these are all the questions coming. Oh, there's Itachi. Oh, this one. Okay. Okay, so
Oh, you found it.
I found it. Thank you. I'm trying to figure out how to get this to
Bigger. While you're working with that, why don't I just try to address
There.
the first part of Itachi's question?
Okay.
Unless can you make it bigger than that, or I mean?
Yes,
you
I
just-
will. I'm just trying to make it fit perfectly in this little slot. Okay. So, there, Marshall. There you go. We got all. Oh, never mind. Never
I'm
mind.
back, I'm
Okay.
back.
Okay. So
I like
Itachi, these are actually really nice.
Yeah.
No, they are really nice.
Thank you.
I mean, you're obviously studying correctly with your the way you're learning the construction, the forms. Your perspective looks pretty good. Like I'm looking at all these the angles of the hair in here.
Yeah.
Like that looks great.
Big chunks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I mean the proportions. You didn't capture the likeness. Like the features are kind of different from this person, but it's okay. I don't think that's what you were going for. You were just studying major forms, and I think you did that really well. What do you think? You said that you're getting worse. Like, what about your stuff got worse?
I think I stopped like doing the figure drawings and the head drawings and just started to do some digital painting studies. I like for the past week, I think, and I'm just completing the fundamentals like I that I really didn't tackle before. But I think the fundamentals really helps a lot. But I kind of left my like daily gesture drawing and head drawing, like I'm doing I'm doing head and um gesture drawing every day before, but now I just started doing completely like the fundamentals. I just got gone through the basic again
Okay.
because I think I didn't really capture I catch it before. Then when I get better a little, then I started to understand how the fundamental works.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Stan mentioned that you didn't really catch the likeness on one of the characters. And on this guy, I don't know that you caught the likeness either, but I love what you did. I mean, he's got the thickness of his jaw, the thickness of the lower part of the face. He's got a little bit of Ron Perlman quality about it. You know, you can, without capturing a likeness, you can get an interesting character out of it. But let's go back to the question, though. The question was losing your skill by not, can you lose your skill in a month, and the process of growth. Stan, did you want to carry through with this, or where are we with answering this?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think that people plateau. Like you're not going to be improving at a linear scale. Here, let me go back. I'm trying to. Sorry, I've been working on the OBS as well at the same time.
While you work on that, let me answer part of this.
Well, no, I'm going back to us. So people don't improve at like a linear, just like trajectory constantly. Every day, get a little bit better. At least not with the results that you're seeing. You're going to be improving, you're going to have a spike, then you're going to plateau, and then you're going to think you're getting worse.
Yes.
Because your knowledge is getting better really fast
Yes.
because you're studying, but your hand isn't keeping up, your execution of this knowledge isn't keeping up. And so you're judging yourself a little bit more critically, which is good because it's going to be required for the next spike in your skill. And so your opinion of how good you are is going up and then it down and then up and then down, and then you'll have a plateau for like a year where you're just like not improving at all. And that's pretty normal. I mean, that's part of learning any skill. And keep in mind, the better you get, the slower you will improve.
That's right.
Like if you're 10 years into studying, you're going to be improving very incrementally. Little things, subtle things that most people around you won't even notice, but only you might notice that you're better at like highlights now. It's like, but most people will be like, "Oh, you're better at highlights? Let me see the highlight. Oh, that's a cool highlight." It's improvement, and your perception of your improvement is skewed. You're not measuring these things as like in scientific manner. So, I wouldn't judge yourself based on how good you were like a month ago.
No.
And I think that's what you said. Like you didn't draw for a month or something, and then you got worse. It's like judge yourself based on how you were a year ago or 2 years ago. That's going to be much more obvious. Anyway.
I think like I always do that to myself. Like like when I see like I get better, then look at my past works and I see them like how awful they are. But now, then I see my drawings now it's better. Then a couple of months later, then I see how awful they are. It's like my perceptions getting better at seeing what's wrong or what's right on my drawings.
Yeah.
I think.
In 2.5 years of podcasts, I think this has been our main theme, is that the process of growth is emotional, and that you have feelings in looking at how your work is not as good as it could be or how much better it is than it used to be. Natachi, I have a book that I really like on this topic, It is not. Stan also has a book that he likes called Mastery. The one that I like and that I've read a number of times is by George Leonard, not the one that's by Robert Greene. George Leonard's book Mastery. It's a short read. It's a wonderful spirit of be okay with the fact that growth happens in stages. He teaches you to embrace the plateaus. I will mention one thing that Stan already mentioned, but to reiterate it. He points out that growth does not happen in a straight line. It has a plateau, then it goes up. Then it has another plateau, then it goes up. And it keeps doing that. And most of your time is spent on the plateau. So enjoy the plateau as much as you can. But that chart of growth with the plateaus and the rises and the plateaus and the rises is not really the way it works. It's much more organic. It's much more like a branch grows or a root digs down. It meanders and you'll get better and worse and sometimes significantly worse because everything's going well in your life. Or you'll get significantly worse because everything's going badly in your life. Or it might be that everything's going badly in your life and you get better because this is your escape. And you cannot predict how that branch is going to meander. You can acknowledge that to step back and see the whole shape of it can encourage you when you see that there is long-term growth. That's the first thing, is that you need encouragement. As Stan mentioned, don't compare yourself to a month ago. Try it longer and you will more likely be encouraged. If you compare yourself to a year or two ago and you're getting worse, that's where you need the doctor.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll try that. Thank you so much.
Hey, I have one other thing that I might throw into this. Give me a moment. Just, Stan,
Okay.
was there anything else you wanted to say?
No, I think I said it.
Let me give you some long-term encouragement on this. There are so many things that I tried to do in my 20s that I couldn't do, including reading books that were hard and that I couldn't understand, and looking at art that I didn't care that much for, and trying my best to give it a fair shake, not just for a week, but for months. And some of it never took. Same with music, too. Some of it never took. But as the decades went on, I appreciate stuff that I could never have appreciated if I had not gone through the struggle of trying for a while. And I think the same thing happens with skill development as well as appreciation. That you work on that skill and you see nothing from it, but you keep working on it, you get some guidance on how to work on it, and it may be that you take it up 10 years later and you find that the dry ground has already been stricken enough to where you can get into it. You can start the rut that is not starting from scratch. It's starting from something you already started to dig into.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Itachi.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful. I think I get motivated right now. I'm so
Yeah,
happy
good.
to talk to you.
Good.
Thank you so
Embrace
much.
your struggles.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes just talking to people is all it takes. So that's why
Yes.
community is so important. You got to
Yeah,
have
you're
friends that
not
are doing
alone.
it with you.
Thank you so much.
You're
All right.
welcome.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Hi. I don't know how to pronounce your name because it's not in English.
Can we hear it?
I think it's Chinese. Or
Yeah.
Is it Chinese?
Yeah, it's Chinese.
Okay,
You can
how do
just
you-
call me Sly.
Sly. Hi, Sly.
Sly.
Oh, Sly. What's up?
Yeah.
Sly. Hi, Sly.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
We're just doing a live stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had an inkling.
What are you doing?
Well, you see, I am sitting in this Discord channel with these two guys.
Oh wow.
It's a coincidence.
Well,
Okay.
here we are.
What's your question, Sly?
So I love all of your content surrounding creating and developing art. However, I'm a professional framer and a conservator, and so I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on the life of a piece, like when it's been completed. So should artists actively take into account that a painting will degrade over time? Outside of pigments and their light fastness, should there be consideration into using archival varnishes, acid-free paper, or properly preparing a canvas or board to give artwork its longest life possible, even if it's a little more expensive and time-consuming? Does this effectively quell any of the spontaneous aspects that might be associated with the creative process? Again, when it comes to a piece that has been damaged or has a lot of personal value, there are a lot of polarizing opinions on which is better: art preservation, essentially keeping it in its current state but preventing further deterioration, or art restoration, which is returning it back to a predetermined former state. Especially when it comes to old masters and their architecture, paintings, or sculpture, those have, pretty serious historical relevance. Does restoring become synonymous with tainting an original work? Of course, there have been instances of restorers that have been accused of altering the original artist's intentions because they can impose their own interpretations onto a piece. Famously, there was this fresco in a church in Spain that an amateur painter decided to restore, and people were so angry about it because they felt it was ruined beyond recognition, and to the point where they compared the restored piece to a blurry potato and a monkey. Can you enjoy a piece that's damaged but preserved more than something that's been restored to its former state pre-damage?
Okay, there's a lot to that. Thank you. The very well put question. I think you probably are more qualified to answer this. I mean, you said you're a professional restorer, so we'll do our best. We'll do our best to answer this, but you probably have a better answer. Marshall, do you want to go first, or do you want me to start?
This is outside of my domain, but yet I still have I have thoughts about it, but they aren't really strong opinions. The main strong opinion is, yes, I do think that the original intent of the author, I think that's very important.
Yeah.
But then it gets blurry when they put the 1939 Pinocchio, Disney's Pinocchio, onto Blu-ray. Oh, it looks beautiful. Don't miss it in Blu-ray on a big screen, really good in the dark. And you can see the texture of the watercolor paper, but they took out the film grain so that it's as much, very much as if they went back and shot it from the original watercolor paper and cells. And there's something about removing the film grain that makes you feel like, I'd kind of like to see the film grain. The film grain was a part of it. So that's where it becomes a call that some people are going to miss the film grain. Some people say, I like it where you got rid of the film grain and you can get as close to the originals as possible. That's where it becomes a discerning call. I think that to go the other extreme where you violate the original author's intent because you can, that's where you really have to call a restorer or a demolisher into accountability. But I don't have much to offer on this. I'm more interested in listening now.
So Marshall, your example of restoring a film, I think, is a little bit different from like a painting, because the painting has one original, right? Yeah. So when they restored Pinocchio, you could still go back and you can still watch the original and you can still enjoy the film grain if you want. If you are restoring an original painting and you take something away, like equivalent to the film grain, I think that's a much worse thing to do on something that has one original, because and it's okay to do that, I think, with a movie, because you're just making a copy.
Right. It's the original.
Yeah, you're not destroying the original.
Nova or National Geographic did a documentary, probably better part of 30 years ago, on the restoration of the Sistine Chapel ceiling.
Yes, yeah.
That made you feel like, whoa, they ruined the Sistine Chapel ceiling. And it was meant to do that. It was meant to show you that the people who did it, they got rid of the smoky film on it, but they also faked a bunch of stuff. You already know about that then?
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar. The thing is that, of course, when stuff is that old, there is a certain extent, grime and buildup. But, the argument of, oh, well, they're scraping away his original lines and his original color, because with stuff that old, we don't exactly have good references to what it looked like originally, aside from verbal passing along, kind of like playing telephone.
It still looks great. The reproductions of the new Sistine Chapel look great to me. Why do you ask this question? Are you heading toward being an art historian?
No, I'm just curious, I guess. For me, like, art and painting, I find a lot of my inspiration comes from this sort of, spontaneous, I'm gonna go out today and bring my sketchbook, and maybe if I see something nice, I'll sketch it or something. But, in my job and my professional work, seeing the, how a painting can be absolutely destroyed, or the way that pigments, a lot of pigments that professionals and experts used years and years ago discovered to now be toxic, or they're light fast, so they fade after 50 years. And that kind of changed sort of the way that my process works. And sure, I still try to retain that spontaneous feeling of maybe I'm gonna go out and I'll see something cool and I'll paint it. But sometimes if I have half an hour, 40 minutes, I'll set aside that time to like properly prime some wood boards just in case, instead of grabbing my wood board and going out, and then potentially 10, 15 years in the future, if it lasts that long, it might be flaking. But
I think that artists should be thinking about preserving their art as long as possible. I mean, it is the artist's job initially to make it last, because nobody else could do that until it leaves the artist's studio, and like, for example, I very recently I made the decision that all the panels that I'm going to paint on are now going to be on metal. The canvas is glued onto metal instead of wood, because I feel like I think that's going to prevent the canvas from moving around. I don't know. I'm not an expert like you. Maybe you could tell me if that's the right way to go. But
you're inviting a lot of people to give you advice now.
I mean, wood is definitely, open to mildew and insects and stuff like that. But I don't know. I guess as much as, it's expensive to buy varnishes. So part of me is just like, oh, well, if I'm doing something that I don't know if I'm going to like, or if I don't know if I'm going to throw out 2-3 years, in the future, maybe is it truly worthwhile for me to put the extra effort into, making sure that all of my paints are light fast, making sure that, I'm properly sealing and varnishing my stuff. I don't know. I guess it's just kind of curious, wondering what your guys' take was on it, or if that's something you had thought about, or even entertained the idea of like, what is my artwork going to look like in 50-60 years, or where is it going to be in 50-60 years?
I mean, personally, I do have a fear that like my paints are going to crack, because like when I look at some older paintings that I really admire and I see the cracks, I'm like, God, I wish I could see it without the cracks, because the artist didn't want the cracks to be there. Right? That wasn't planned. And sometimes it's like going across the face, and it's like, that's distracting. And so, I want to paint in a way that's going to prevent that kind of stuff, but it's difficult, because you have somebody like Nikolai Feshin, who I really admire, and I'm constantly mentioning his name, and the way he layered his paint, and like, it was all very spontaneous. Like, he might have been thinking about preservation, but I think he probably put creativity and just the look of the paint at that moment first, on top of preservation. And I think that's probably more important to me, is that you get a good painting, and then if you can also make it last, then great. But like personally, I would not say, yeah, Nikolai, let's not do that thing you did with the layering because that'll make your painting crack. Let's remove a little bit of that. I would say, no, do exactly what you did. That's okay. We'll try to preserve it afterwards. But see, he's really famous, right?
Mm-hmm.
And famous people or artists that go down in history, like a lot of money is spent on preserving their stuff.
Yeah.
Not all of us are going to have that where
Yeah.
somebody's going to be preserving our stuff. Most
Exactly.
artists' paintings are just going to deteriorate and fall apart because they're going to be in some really hot, mildewy attic. Right? Like, I mean, that's just kind of the fact. It's going to be stored somewhere. Most art is going to be stored somewhere rather than hung somewhere.
Yeah,
I think.
you have people like Banksy, that one where it started shredding at the auction, which is super cool because it's kind of like he took into account the fact that it would probably be, destroyed or damaged at some point. So he kind of like built that into the piece.
Do you
which
think
is
that's what he
pretty
was doing?
cool.
He knew it was going to be destroyed, so he did it himself? You think that's what he was doing, or?
That was kind of my interpretation of it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think there's the technology now to make sure that artwork is going to last for infinity.
Yeah. Well, digital.
Well,
I've been
But yeah,
surprised at how many artists who do really great work just don't care that much about longevity. Norman Rockwell mentioned it in his autobiography, or maybe it was in the other book, the How I Make a Picture. But in one of those books, he mentioned let the next generation make their own pictures. He just was not concerned with longevity. And I've come across that a number of times. I just care about making
That's
the
interesting.
artwork good. I don't care about... there are some that do care. There are many that do care. And I think the best way to do it is to plan for it and get into the habits. But I can't believe how much stuff I did as a student that I still have that I did on wood pulp paper is in terrible condition.
yeah.
And yet I have got some Strathmore Bristol paper that is over 40 years old, 41, 42 years old. And even around the edges, it is just as pure white as it can be. They're 500 series Bristol plate finish and kid finish, or now they call it cold press. That's, four ply, 5 ply. That paper just lasts forever. So yeah, it's more expensive. It's every individual's call.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I want to show something. Give me just a moment.
Oh. Show and tell time now?
I guess so.
Oh, man.
A good deal of it is preparation. And I'm going to teach expressive drawing sometime soon. And
You
so
wanted
I
to
have
show
got-
a notebook?
I want to show a notebook that...
Are you going to at least open it and show
I
us
have-
what's inside?
I have 12 collections of paper from cardstock to watercolor paper to Stonehenge to all of my favorite papers, and I've got them so that each hour-and-a-half drawing session, I can go from the cheapest paper to the most expensive paper. And if in that hour-and-a-half drawing session, my unself-consciousness is fine from the beginning because it's cheap paper and gradually moving to the more expensive, I'm going to just experiment with it.
Yeah.
And even if the good stuff happens on the cheapest paper, I've still got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
I draw on
I like
newsprint.
sketchbooks. I always start my sketchbooks from the back to the front because if I open up a new sketchbook, I'm always scared that like the first couple pages have to be really good.
Yeah. They do.
So instead, it'll go in reverse.
Yeah.
Marshall, John is requesting that we answer questions much faster because
Okay.
there's a
well, so-
lot.
sorry.
A
Thank you.
lot
Yeah,
of
there's a
people.
lot of questions.
A lot. Like I'm looking at the waiting room. There's probably like 40 people. Oh, 30. There's 30
should
people.
we-
We're not going to get through
challenge
them.
yourself to see how fast we can be without being rude.
Sure. Let's do it. Okay. Thank you, Sly. Appreciate
No
it.
problem. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye. Okay, I'm going to move the next guy in.
All right.
Okay, this is Pitar. Okay,
Yo,
Peter.
Stan, yo, Marshall.
What's
Hello.
up? Let's move it fast. People are requesting to
man.
move it faster.
I
Let's
got abducted.
Yeah.
I got abducted. All right. With respect to your time, I'm just gonna get right to the question real quick.
Yeah. Thank
so
you.
My question is, what are some of your bad art client stories that you're able to share? Like what happened? How did you handle it? And what did you learn from it?
Well, that's worth a year of podcasts for me.
Oh, we got to do it quick though, Marshall.
Yeah. No, here's the problem. Telling bad client stories can be very discouraging toward people who are going into the industry. And if only 10 to 20% of your clients will be bad client stories, which is, I've got about 10 to 20% of my long list of clients over the years that were bad, and 2 or 3 of them were so bad that they're monumental. But they're long stories to tell. They get convoluted, and they also can discourage. So it's sort of like, be aware that there will be bad clients, and the greatest wisdom I can offer about bad clients is something that I saw my son do when he was tutoring. He was tutoring when he was in high school, even before he could drive. And he had a student that was impossible, and the student's mother was impossible. And I did not advise him on anything. There was a point where the mother called, and I was in the presence to see my son deal with this. Mm-hmm. And when he got off the phone with her, I was going to give him a little speech about, you have to drop bad clients. And he turned to me and said, "They're bad clients." and it was over. I don't remember whether they fired him or he quit or whatever, but to see, there was such a feeling of, I didn't have to say anything, I didn't have to do anything. He has just got enough emotional intelligence to know this is a hopeless relationship. The harder I try, the more upset they will be. That is the great wisdom, is that the more you can not get in deeper with the bad clients, the better. And the more when you have the good clients, you can go over time to nurture the relationship. But I am not going to tell you a lot of those stories unless we at some point can make it a podcast where it's bad and good client, the angel and demon client stories for the fun of it.
Well, that was a good story.
That's my answer, Stan.
Yeah. I don't have an answer because most of my life I have not been dealing with clients. I've been trying to do my own thing, and so I don't know. My clients are my students, right? I don't like, just like you, Marshall, I don't want to start talking about bad students. So
hey, there's one thing though. Sometimes it's not the client. Sometimes it's us. That's one thing, was we take responsibility, is that I did not do a good job for this client. But there's a third possibility, and that is that the job itself is a nightmare. And one of the great contrasts of my career was that it happened within a month and a half or 2 of each other. I had what could have been one of the easiest jobs, and it turned into a nightmare because these people I was working for all had political agendas against each other, so that if one person made a decision, the other person didn't like that their decision got made, and so it turned into a nightmare. I was the recipient of it. And at the same time, I was working a job for Bruce, who you saw him briefly when in the podcast with Christian. He just came on for a moment, and I never gave him a chance to talk. We had a job that was impossible. It was one of those stay up all nights, kill yourself over it. But there was a feeling when it was done, and it came off so well, there was a feeling that we went into war together against the challenges of this job, and we were comrades. And there was nothing that I was worried about telling him about how things were going badly, because it was like telling your teammate, it's like, what can I do to help? We made that job work against impossible odds. And it's one of those things that you look back on it, that was 20 some years ago, but I still look back on it as the job was tough, but the teammate is a lifelong friend from how we all work together for it. So already I'm starting to tell stories too long, but discerning who is responsible. Is it the client's fault? Is it your fault? Is it the job itself? Is it a little bit of all three? That's one of the first things, so you know what to do next.
Yeah.
Is there anything about yourself that you realized, okay, this is my fault, this is what I gotta self-reflect on and see how I can improve?
Yeah, my early jobs, I did not have the skills I needed. Those are stories. I failed in the job because I did not have the skill to do it, or I managed to conjure it up or get help with it or whatever. But this is you'll have a lot of stories yourself.
Yeah,
we'll compile them.
One last thing before we let you go, Peter. one thing I learned about myself at doing commissioned portraits is that I don't like working for clients.
Yeah.
And that took me many years to figure out. And my choice there was I either need to figure something out and get better at, working with clients to where I enjoy working with them, or I just stop doing what I don't enjoy. And I chose to just shift that and stop doing what I don't enjoy. So it's not always about improving. Like, I could have chosen to improve myself in some way to get better at commissions, but I also another option is just like figuring out who you are and what you are good at, and either picking clients that suit that better, or shifting wherever you're headed. It's not always about improving yourself, but a lot of times it is as well. Yeah. But anyway, thank you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you guys for your time. Take care and have a great day.
You too.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Peter.
All right. What's up, Loki?
Hello.
Hello there, Marshall and Stan. Well, I'm kind of nervous to be here.
Of course you are.
Should we go right to the questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So it's kind of a long question, but I'll read it all. So I've seen.
Oh man.
But
Sorry. Go ahead.
you mentioned a lot. But how do you guys help students or artists who have an obsessive compulsive mentality to where it becomes unhealthy and you stay up late and you do less exercise? Can you really over-discipline yourself? So I have immense love for art, and sometimes I can't actually stop myself from drawing, and I am a digital illustrator. And also, how do you help students with the Dunning-Kruger syndrome, who argue with you and kind of argue with your advice? Thank you.
No, that wasn't that long.
I don't help students with the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah.
I just don't. Those are the ones that I'm least interested in.
Yeah, it's very difficult. It's an uphill battle, and I know that because I had some of that in the beginning when I was young. Overconfident. But luckily, I quickly adjusted, and I figured out that I'm not getting what I could be. Like, I could get more advice from people if I'm more likable. Right. And so I think the people that have that, they need to experience some social pain in order to change and have, change themselves so that people are willing to help them. Otherwise, if everybody's still trying to help them out, they're going to think that it's okay what they're doing. They need some social pain. I got some social pain. It made me change. And that's what I needed. So yeah, I would also not help. I would just be like, okay, you don't want to listen to me. That's fine.
Yeah.
When you're ready, come back. And then Marshall, you want the other one, the
other thing is, can a student be too obsessive compulsive? And the answer, of course, is yes. But you tend to make more money than the other ones do. You tend to do better work than the other ones do. There are a lot of good byproducts over a person who is hurting themselves for the project, but you're hurting yourself for the project. So that balance is something that if you have other people in your life, your personal relationships, where your kids or your significant other are being hurt from it, you work that all out. The extreme example to me, there's a few extreme examples, but Peter Sellers and Stanley Kubrick are the two that come to mind. And Stanley Kubrick, if you look at the arc of his life, you can see how I think he got married and then he very quickly got out of that marriage because it was not going to help him do the thing he was obsessively and compulsively committed to, which is to be a great filmmaker. He also only made 12 or so films of note and felt bad about it. But he made films that every filmmaker knows about and set standards. So this is the chapter in The Psychology of Performance on being the perfect perfectionist is where I recommend you to go.
All right.
But I've tried to warn some students against working too hard. Two of them that I'm thinking of, I've had talks with them. You're going to hurt yourself. Both of them are now successful professionals, and they did not listen to me.
Yeah.
They just kept working hard.
Yeah, it's hard to tell people to stop doing it because, like, what if somebody told Kim Jong-il? I'm sure somebody did tell him, and he probably didn't listen to them. But, like, what if he did and he stopped drawing as much and he wasn't so compulsive about it, just, like, constantly, nonstop? He probably wouldn't have been as good. Maybe he would have had a better life. I don't know. But for the rest of us, we have an artist who is just a freaking genius, and his skill is beyond anybody else at what he does because of that.
Loki, you're aware of the spectrum, that you can go one way or the other, and if you're aware of it, then you make your choice on it. There was research that may be outdated now, because I remember hearing this when I was in college, that firstborns and only children tended to be higher achievers, and they also tended to die younger from stress-related diseases. Well, that makes a lot of sense. There's a sense of this, I'm my parents' only shot, I've got to make a difference in the world, and there's this energy that makes them do well, but it also hurts them. So when you're aware that you can overdo it on either side of the spectrum, that way you at least have a way to gauge where you are.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much. I'll just keep kind of obsessively compulsing myself then, because I know my love for art is just so much. But thank you.
Yeah, you can. But keep in mind, when you notice it's hurting your health or your relationships, you can make the decision to pull back a little bit because you are aware of this.
Mm-hmm.
Go read the chapter on being the perfect perfectionist.
That's a great chapter title. I love it. All right, thank you, Loki.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Gosh, I don't know who to bring in because I don't know the order they were in there. Okay, Andrew. Andrew, you're here with us. Unmute yourself.
Hi, Andrew.
I'm going to give you 3 seconds, Andrew. There you are.
There we go. Yeah, there I am.
How you doing?
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hi.
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good.
Doing well.
Let's hear your question.
All right. So my question is, after working a full-time job, and then I also have kids and farm, I try to get my creative productivity done from 10 to 1. How do you do that? How do you get more squeeze out of that juice?
Wow.
We did one episode on it, and on raising kids, and it's not a medically designated phenomenon of distracted by children.
Yeah.
But it's a very real phenomenon. Stan, you're going to have more to say about it now. I feel like I don't know that I have any answer for this that I haven't already given.
I think when you are low on time, the most important thing is prioritizing the things that you do. There's no other way. You have to start saying no to almost everything. And that's the really hard thing that I think a lot of us go every day we say yes to a lot of things that are less important to the things that we end up not doing because we said yes to other things. And if we just get better at prioritizing, we will have a little bit more time, 10, 20% more time. And that's a lot. So it's a skill. There's nothing I could tell you that'll make you all of a sudden get better at that. It's just something you have to be aware of and start keeping track of how you use your time. And once you keep track and you realize some of those things you're doing that are bad or are a waste of time, it might motivate you to make better decisions. And yeah, I don't know. I can't like add time to your day,
Right. Do you have any
Did you
ways
listen
that
to
you guys
that?
ever
Did you
used
listen
to
to that podcast we did a year and a half or two ago on raising children and trying to be an artist?
I did. I think the hardest part for me is that since most of the day jobs I have are programming related, I feel like it's a defog of the brain that I can't get out of, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it makes sense. It makes sense because you're trying to do really difficult. You're trying to balance really difficult jobs, and some of them deplete you.
Yeah.
There are some people who are invigorated by their children, but most people are depleted by their children. They're just it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But
also,
the
are
only-
you staying healthy, fit? Are you eating well, where it energizes your brain instead of, making you tired? Are you exercising several times a week? Because that's the only way to make you have more energy throughout the day, is being healthier. Your body is it's a machine that if you don't treat it properly, it'll
Usually by the end of the day, I'll try to take a shower and I'll make a espresso. We have a home espresso machine, and I try to do that to try to get there.
That'll
but
help.
It's not always effective.
So I'm guessing that's a no on the exercise and healthy eating.
Yeah, I'm relying on drugs.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to tell a story. I got to tell this. This is not going to take that long. When I first became a father, I decided, since I was 33, that 6 months into it, I could not maintain exercising. I'd exercised all the way through my 20s, and I realized, isn't it when you become a dad, aren't you excused from having to exercise anymore? I mean, that's the thing to do. It's going to be okay. Your life's going to go on. Most dads don't exercise, it seems. And then somebody lent me a VHS tape. It was called Fit or Fat, about this guy who was a motivational speaker who explained in emotive terms that when you exercise, you are creating your own drugs and they're good for you. Yeah. And I watched it at about 10:30 or 11 p.m. one night. The baby is asleep. And our gym across the street was open till midnight. And I hadn't worked out in a few weeks, and I had decided I'm going to give it up. I went there that night, and I decided I'll at least stick with this till I'm 40. Or no, 35, and then later I changed it to 40, and then later changed it to 50, and so on. But that was one of the best things to have done, which is to fall in love with something that takes some energy, but is also enjoyable. Exercising is enjoyable. So if you get addicted to exercise, I guess that's one thing that would be good to get addicted to exercise, because it does give you more energy typically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's not just letting you. Oh, he's gone. But okay, we'll just finish answering. He left the. It's not just about getting more energy throughout this single day and making you more productive. It also adds time to your life. You're gonna have more time to do things with your grandchildren, and more. You'll be healthier to produce more art when you're 60. I mean, Marshall, you're freaking you're like in your prime.
I do kind of feel that way.
Yeah, but, I cannot feel your age at all when I'm interacting with you. You talk, you think, you move like a young person. That's probably because you took care of yourself, right?
I think diet and exercise have a huge. Everybody says so. Everybody knows so. I hope that's not why Andrew bowed out. Oh, okay, they're going to give me the exercise.
Well, we're doing it anyway.
I don't think
it's important. It's important.
Espresso sounds great too, man.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the combination is the best. Yay. But yeah. Anyway, okay. The next person is I don't know. It really is luck of the draw here.
Andrew Dionysian.
Federica. I'm gonna go with a girl.
And Apollonian.
Hello, Federica.
Federica.
Oh, very low. I'm going to boost your volume here. Speak again.
Hear me?
Speak again.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. It's just your volume's low. I'm trying to boost it. I don't know if you can get closer to your.
Get up close and speak slowly.
Hello.
That's better.
Maybe I can change my volume.
Oh no, that's great.
We can hear you.
Now it's good. I boosted your volumes.
Right, thank you. All right, I guess I'll go ahead and read what I already wrote early.
Okay.
So I'm a self-taught artist that, although I'm excited every day to do art and to grow, I feel like even when I know specifically what I need to work on, and in my case it's like color and light and values, and I do get to work on these things, but I feel like I can never see myself getting a real understanding of these things. And it's specifically with the color and light and values thing. And for me, it's like really upsetting because I get to the point where I never want to finish my work. Like, even if it's like, it could be the smallest sketch that I like it and I want to finish it, as in coloring and all that. But I just don't want to do it because I know I don't know where to start, and I know that if I even take the risk, it won't ever work. And I guess my question would be, maybe it's just me that I don't have a good personality to be an artist because I do not take risk. And that's pretty much.
Because you what?
I don't take risk in my art, and I've always heard them, and I mean, I'm sure it is that way. Most artists, they're just they just do things instinctually too, and they take risk. That's why they get better.
Well, creativity is all about plunging into the unknown and seeing what's on the other side of that forest. I don't know.
But that's creativity. Craft is not about that.
It's the opposite.
Yeah.
But learning to balance the two is important. But I think that you can be a good artist. You're on one end of the spectrum, and you're gonna have to figure out how to get yourself in a certain zone and undo your weaknesses and boost your strengths, because of this you will be better at certain things than people who are more creative.
That's right.
You do have certain advantages, but you also have disadvantages, and that's okay. Everybody's different, and everybody has their own set of qualities, like video game characters, and you have to figure out yourself and learn how to make the best of it. But
when I was in middle school, we had to take algebra, and I could not understand any of it. And then when we got into pre-algebra, I could never understand any. I could just never understand algebra. And there came a point where it's like, okay, well, you're not going to be a mathematician. Wow, the world won't go on. No, the world goes on, because there are people who like math, and they're good at math. And if you know that you are on one side of a spectrum, that's probably going to be where you get hired for that and where you shine. Have you gone through Dorian Eaton's teaching on light and form?
No, I never heard of it.
Oh, well, don't miss that. He makes it as easy as it can be. I know of no gentler teacher, and not just gentle, really sound and authoritative. He is a great teacher for light on form. And don't miss out on him to take away the stress and ease you into understanding the logic of light on form. It will really help you.
Yeah, he does sell some of his like guidebooks on PROKO.com, so you could go check it out. And then he also has some more like mentorship type stuff on his own website. So depending on what you want, you could. But yes, I do agree, Marshall. Dorian is perfect, I think, for you to use your strengths, because he doesn't really teach creativity. He teaches the science, the rules of light and form, and I think that's what you're looking for. Is like there's no risk there. You're just learning the rules and you're following them.
Yes.
So you could
go for that. And when he teaches creativity, you're in for a treat.
Oh, does he teach creativity?
He will.
Oh,
We've talked about it for years.
Awesome.
Maybe teaming up on it some year. But yeah, Dorian, I saw Dorian as a student as well as a teacher, and he is remarkably creative. Yeah. But it's a different zone than what most people know him for.
Yeah.
With his
that'd be an interesting one to watch. I did not know he teaches creativity.
I don't know if he does yet.
Okay.
We'll see. Okay.
We'll see.
I hope we helped you.
Yeah, thank you for the recap.
Yes, that's good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yep, bye-bye. Okay, I think Mike was in there first. Hey, Mike.
Hi.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. I guess, okay. Whew.
Just answer the question.
Right into my question. Yeah, so hi, my name's Mike Nicolati. I'm an amateur photographer who is looking to take pictures that are more like paintings. My question is, other than composition and visual storytelling, what disciplines in painting and drawing can I apply to my photography to make the images look more like a beautiful painting.
And what do you mean by that? What does a beautiful painting look like that a typical photograph doesn't have?
Yeah, well, something, yeah, something more than what you might find on Instagram.
What is that?
I
see all types of stuff on Instagram.
Yeah,
the whole internet is on.
I guess, well, I would describe my photography art parents as something like Saul Leader. Do you know Saul Leader at all? No?
I don't.
Well, he takes very pretty photos.
Okay.
And,
Is he happening now?
No, he's old. I think he's dead.
Okay.
Other photos, a similar guy who I like, but I don't like, Wes Anderson, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who? Sorry. What was the first guy's name that you mentioned?
Saul Leader. SAULLEITER, I think.
Saul Leader.
What is going on? There you go. Sorry. I'm trying to pull it up and have it on the screen.
Yeah.
Saul. Okay. SAUL.
Yeah. L is it LIETER?
Saul
what I wrote.
Leader.
It's EITER.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to bring this in. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
This is challenging to do. Okay. There's some images.
Can you zoom in on them?
Yeah, let me see if I can make them bigger.
Yeah.
In particular, I have the actual YouTube stream paused, but I'm looking at it as well. In particular, one of the photos that I like the most, there's a picture through a foggy window, which looks like
maybe it's
written on.
Oh.
And then
I see it.
Is that it?
And then
maybe it's this one.
Let's see. I'll turn on the.
Maybe it's.
Yeah, I can see why you'd like him.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. Yeah, I could see. So not everything is like crisp and in focus. I see what you're going for here. There's a lot more edge variety, right? Like with this one, for example, you have all of this stuff on the left that just kind of looks like blurry brush strokes, and then he has motion blur. He's got a lot of depth of field that look like big brush strokes. I see what you're saying, and so. I mean, have you tried to do kind of like the equivalent of a master study of this guy's stuff, which would be to like take photos that look like that?
I'm not with that. I'm not fully sure how to do that, and I'm kind of trying to figure that out myself.
Okay, well,
creativity part of it.
That's where you just keep trying. You start learning how your camera works. And you start trying to recreate each of those elements. How do I get that? What is that? The effect where the highlights in the background are blurry, and so it is the bokeh. Okay, like how do I get the bokeh effect? Okay, cool. How do I take a picture through a foggy window and get that same effect? Keep trying, keep like experimenting until you get that look. And along the way, you're going to discover some things that he doesn't do, but you stumble upon on your own because you're experimenting. That's part of being an artist. If you haven't tried, I mean, I think that's the only answer here is step one, try to do that.
Yeah.
And then when you run into trouble, ask another photographer, go onto some photography forums and see if anybody has some advice on this kind of technical stuff.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
And I understand that I need to. Well, I'm making strides in learning how to use my camera artistically. But I was also wondering. I guess you just answered the question.
Mike, let me throw a couple things in here. One is that I mentioned Kubrick earlier. Kubrick, when he was a teenager, got into one of the biggest magazines, one of the most famous photography magazines in the U.S. And you look at his black and white photography he did, and you see he was deeply influenced by another photographer named Weegee. Weegee was the name he went by, another, I think, New York photographer with the blood on the pavement school of journalistic, realistic, black and white photography of horrible things that happened. And Kubrick picked up that vibe and as a photographer ran with it. Now, that was before he was a filmmaker. When he became a filmmaker, he was tremendously influenced by that kind of photography and by the noir filmmakers who were just a few years before him. So these are called choosing touchstones. We've called them choosing art parents. Now, here's the big one. If you have not seen the movie Barry Lyndon, 1975, it was one of his least successful commercial films, but I think it's one of his best films. It's my favorite of his films. It's a long movie. Watch it on Blu-ray. Watch it on a big screen. Don't miss out on it. The photography is amazing. It's supposed to take place, maybe a couple hundred years or so ago. Maybe not that much, 150 years ago. But he went to painting of that era of the late 18th century. And he studied the painters of that time, and he even made notebooks of these paintings, and he analyzed the light, and he did everything he could to shoot this photography by natural light so that it would feel like you were put into a world of the late 18th century. And he pulled it off, and the photography is amazing. But here is the thing. He bridged a gap between people who did not have photography. They were painters, and they saw in a certain way. And now he has not just photography, but a new lens that NASA developed that lets more light in than anybody ever allowed in, and zooms that are incredible. So he used new tools to imitate old skills. And one other thing I'd add into there. You'd study these masters that interest you. Isolate their elements. It's what I'm having students do right now in my composition boot camp. You choose your parents and you spend a few months studying how they do it in technical terms, which elements they're using, which principles they're using. But there is that jumping from one medium to another with more than one parent that lets you pick up the things that you care about the most and bring it into your work in a new way, inventively and creatively.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yep.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. All right. Next is Zenith. Oh, how do I? All right, Zenith. We are here with you. You are here with us. Zenith was probably waiting in the waiting room for a while.
Hi, Zenith. I hope we haven't.
Oh, there you go.
You haven't collapsed.
There you go. Zenith is here.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You good?
Hey, great. So, hey, how are you guys doing?
We're eager to hear your question.
Yes. So my question is, when you started your journey, right, as a beginner, what were through the months and years that you progressed, getting better and better? Was there ever a moment where everything suddenly clicked? For example, you suddenly No.
What do you mean everything? What do you mean everything suddenly clicked?
Okay, like fundamentals, like the fundamentals.
All the fundamentals suddenly clicked.
No,
how's
not
that
suddenly,
possible?
like
that. But what do you mean by that then? If it wasn't suddenly, then what do you mean?
I mean, like you got efficient at it. You realized you were confident with doing this or that and this, and sometimes you built the fundamentals from the ground up that you could draw anything outside of your comfort zone easily because you've internalized all those fundamentals and skills that you've developed.
I would just say there was never a moment I can identify where it happened. Not even like a month that I could identify where it happened. It was a slow process of improvement on different various things. And then eventually I was better, and then I'm still getting better. I'm still struggling with a lot of things. I'm still waiting for that moment where everything clicks.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it was a gradual process.
Yeah.
As well.
There definitely were moments where I would get lucky. where I'd be like, whoa, how did I do that? Right? And then I would try to figure out how I did it, and then sometimes I would lose it. And then I'd try to figure out, and then I'd try to get it back, and sometimes I did get it back. But those were moments that were very fun, but it wasn't like I suddenly improved. It was that I did something and I got an effect that worked really well that I wasn't maybe intending, or I was just having a really good day one day in quick sketch, and my proportions were just falling into place, and just things were happening really well. Maybe my brain was just more clear. I had a good breakfast and I was happier. Whatever. I don't know what it was, but there were some good days, there were some bad days, and some of the really, really, really good days felt like I was just all of a sudden better. But then the next day, I wasn't at that level anymore. It would go back down a little bit. Because I think this relates to one of the questions from earlier, is that like your perception of how good you are is based off of like your drawing or your painting, the thing you're making, which is not always a perfect representation of your actual skill. And so it's difficult to judge yourself based on that drawing you're doing at the moment.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, because a few days ago, for some reason, I'm homeschooled, by the way, so I sometimes procrastinate doing school. Don't tell anyone. But I usually kind of just actually kind of draw. Like sometimes I get off track, like I'm writing notes, and then I like start drawing one thing, and then I draw another thing, and then I draw another thing, and then I just throw away my notebook, and then I go and bring up a sketchbook or a random piece of paper, give a drawing, and then some certain time I was just like, whoa, I am literally God, right? Just that rush, that like high of like, oh whoa, yeah, I see you. I mean, because sometimes it happens.
It is a high. It's an emotional high, which means that you'll come down from it. That's one of the dangers of those. Everything now makes sense. But there are epiphanies. If you go back to that George Leonard's Mastery book, those plateaus last a long time. Those sudden leaps tend to happen rather rapidly, or at least in my experience, that within a matter of a week or so, wow, I broke through. And break through on everything, I don't know that I trust it. But gosh, I remember I had an epiphany when I was 19, when I learned how to copy what I saw with colored pencils and know how to put highlights in there and see the values. And I remember walking around thinking, I can draw anything. I can do anything. It was a Dunning-Kruger effect, because I knew how to copy. I figure I had it all worked out. But I've never had that happen. I feel like
wait, sorry, Marshall, your audio cut out. You never had that what?
I never had that happen with drawing, that I can say I've reached mastery where I've found a pinnacle. I feel like I'm always struggling with it. But I can say that when I look at drawings, I've been immersed in drawings these last months of great old masters, I see more than I ever knew it was possible to see. I see their skill. I see what they do when they twist a line. I see little hints of form. I see restraint from overstating. So there have been epiphanies along the way, but no one epiphany that says I'm God. No. That would not be a good epiphany to have anyway.
Yes. Last, a little bit of an off-topic thing. Speaking of like people that I look to, like your parents, art parents. When I was like beginning, like around like first year of doing art and stuff, I found this artist named Wenjun Lin. He's a Chinese artist. Beautiful compositions, beautiful colors, right? He was a very early inspiration and usually like molded what I did. I remember like seeing things about studies, and I'm learning like you can bring up their works and then see what you like about them, study them, try applying it to your work and all that. And and then I slowly did that and then incorporated it into it, and then that's when I started forming like my style. So it was a form of an epiphany, but yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah,
Epiphanies are great. They feel good. May you have 100 of them in the coming years. I think there's probably been 15 or 20 times throughout my adult life where all of a sudden I say, this explains so much. This makes so much sense. Now I understand. And those are pleasant, and they are usually, according to George Leonard's graph, they're the points where your understanding, your skill goes up another level.
Yeah.
But don't idolize them. All they are is to enjoy. They're like a wave in surfing. That you can ride the wave, but you don't count on the wave to be there at all times. Just enjoy it while it's there, and you got that ride, and you rejoice in the fact that it happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for answering my questions, PROKO, Marshall. Have a good day.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Dang, Marshall, we got the waiting room is like always full.
Well, maybe we should do live.
We should do these more often. This is fun. This is so much better than voicemails, right?
It is so much better than voicemails.
I can't believe we're on season 3 and we just
sold us, everybody.
Everybody.
We'll be here. No, actually, yeah. It's like there's more demand than we can supply. But let's go ahead.
This is great. And actually, so people watching who are not participating in the actual audio part of it, let us know in the comments if you enjoy this as well. Like if we should do more of these, or if you prefer the Marshall Stan one-on-one conversations, because like these are easier for us to do. There's no preparation, but I don't know if that's what people want, you know. So okay, we got Liana. Hi, Liana.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Ask us a question.
You're so direct,
Oh.
Marsha.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I'm so happy. Okay, I'll read it.
We're happy to have you here, Liana.
Yeah. Could Marshall tell us a bit about how someone which is intuitive and perceiving in the Myers-Briggs personality test can go about the art craft and career? My mind seems to be all over the place all the time, with my interests changing, but the art thing is always lurking there. I end up thinking that because I can't focus and be patient with one thing, then this is not for me, because it involves so much skill development to reach an average level, let alone mastery. So I'm kind of the opposite of the obsessive-compulsive guy, I think.
Yeah. So you're over on the side of what he calls a perceiver, a prober, an experimenter. It's a good thing to be, but the downside of it is that if you don't finish, that's not a good thing. And then that's a whole different polarity than the intuitive versus the sensory. Those are two separate horizontal polarities. So the first thing I would suggest is study those, get to know them, understand them, talk about them with friends, challenge them, all that stuff, so you get your head around them, and then use them. That last polarity about probing versus closure was the most important one in my midlife crisis as an artist, because I was so strongly on the judging side, so strongly on the closure side, that it was not just hampering, it was short-circuiting my creativity. You can't be creative when you have to jump to a conclusion of closure. Or you're lucky if you do. So I spent a few years practicing the other extreme, and it helped immensely. That's one polarity. On the intuitive sensory thing, I haven't bothered to balance it out, because I make my living with the intuitive side, not with the sensory side. I'm a less good artist than some really good artists who are very sensory, very in touch with their materials. My thinking is over on the train of thought. So knowing the polarities, discussing them with friends, deciding how they can help you, or saying they don't help me and setting them aside, that's a lengthy process. Can't deal with it right now, but I'm glad you're interested in it enough to see if you can put it to use for yourself. It is useful. Even if it's not, even if it's got all sorts of problems.
Yeah, it's difficult to see in the art world because we must develop the skills, and it takes years of effort. And how can because I can't focus so much time in things, so I don't know. But
Yeah.
okay, I'll try to look in the
It will help you. There was a guy, a coach, I think, or he was an athletics expert. His last name was Niednagel, Niednagle or something like that. He wrote a book applying it to athletes. He was quite convinced that it's based on hard wiring. He was a little more convinced than I could be convinced. But his challenge was that he could look at any person walk across a room and could size them up on a few of those polarities and know which position they would play best on a baseball team or a football team or whatever, because different positions have different needs for strengths. And I read his book, and I thought it was interesting how in choosing your position on a team, that could make a difference. But I only read it enough to where I thought, how can this help with watercolorists and with myself? Watercolorists, that last polarity of open and closed, is a huge dynamic for whether a watercolorist is going to be careful and safe and not take risks and do really beautiful work, or whether they're going to be the kind that is okay with letting the water go crazy and enjoying it and then saying, hey, that part worked. That's a very important one, that last one. That's the most important one for creativity.
Yeah, thank you. I feel rude leaving, I don't know, Stan out. I don't know if he has
It's totally
something
fine.
to say about it.
No, okay.
Stan likes a break.
Yeah.
The subject, right? Okay. But,
Yeah.
okay. I guess that's it. I will research more then. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for the
Bye
question.
bye. Okay.
Let's see. Next up is Hit Reg. Hit Reg.
That's the most important.
Hello, Hit Reg. Or Reg.
Stand out.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, can you mute? If you're watching us on YouTube right now, make sure you turn off the sound on your computer.
Yeah.
Because I heard myself from your audio, Hit Reg.
Yeah, I got you. I'm doing that right.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. What's up? What's your question?
I had a question about business. Because I've heard from. Let me actually just go to my question here. I've heard that you've advised not to you've advised not to make money on art. Because
not to what?
It seems to be one of those things that
I didn't hear what he said.
He said
it sucks the life out of it. I've actually felt firsthand that.
I guess he can't
And
hear
so,
us.
how was the experience, and what was the experience of reconciling the practice of business and art? And to Marshall, it's by my understanding you've actually made your living from art. So how does someone prevent that magic from being killed by financial necessity?
He said that we advised people to not make money off of art, which I don't remember doing that.
I advise people to not make money off of art if that's what you think is going to work best for you, and if it's not important. But it takes away a lot of troubles. But it's also like advising people not to raise children or to raise children. You don't advise it one way or another. It's a matter of discernment. But I'll tell you, you'll make your life easier in some ways if you don't seek other people to pay you for it, and you'll lose the pressure. That was what it was.
But no, absolutely. I mean, there's no way I would advise people to not make money off of art. Like, we need artists that make movies and make money off of movies and do all this amazing stuff we enjoy all the time. Maybe you're thinking about when I said that I don't really care about making money off of my paintings anymore, and that I just want to paint for myself. Like, I wasn't advising others to do the same. That was just a decision I made for myself. But no, absolutely, make money off of your art. It's better than having a different job that you don't enjoy. If you want to enjoy your job and you enjoy art, go for it. Make some money off of the art.
Can't imagine, though, that because it probably came out of my mouth that if you can keep from having to do it for a living, take advantage of that. Do it on your own.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a person who's going to be the next great professional artist who says, well, I was going to be the next great professional artist, but Marshall Vandross said not to, so I'm not going to. This is, you save yourself a world of trouble by not doing it always for clients. or just choosing the clients that you really love to work for. And, you know, a therapist put it the best way possible, and we talk about it in this one that's coming up about negotiating. The best thing for us to do, the healthiest thing we can do, is to be as needless as we can be. But we won't be needless because we are all needy in different ways. But if we're extremely needy, it's hard to get our feet on the ground and feel strong. So if you need money, I needed money, and I do need money. And therefore, to work for clients that pay has just been always part of it. But it does mean that if you really need money, you will end up having to work for some clients that you'd rather not work for.
Yeah.
Now, but anyway, I'm not even sure what the question was, because all I've been doing is just trying to justify that.
Yeah.
That advice was qualified.
Is there anything else you want to know? Like, did we answer your question?
I think I might have put it the wrong way. Like, because the pressure of, I guess the pressure of making art work when you're a student coming up into the industry can sometimes suck the life out of it.
Yeah.
How does one keep that? Because I've felt that firsthand. I used to want to be a professional musician, and that kind of phenomenon just killed the entire thing for me to the point where I just stopped doing it. So how do you realize that you need to make this work but also enjoy it at the same time?
By experimenting around and seeing what works.
Yeah.
And if you're in an environment, you're among thousands, tens of thousands of students who their schooling can cure their ability to be a professional by making it so unpleasant during those times that you just never want to go back into the studio. So you have to, at the time that it's happening, assess it, have some support, discuss it, ask whether this is the best path for you. It's a complex problem.
For me, I think you need to decide or figure out what is that life that got sucked out of making art when you got this job thing, whatever. You need to figure out what is that thing that got sucked out. Like for me, when I was doing commissioned portraits, I learned that that life that got sucked out of me enjoying it was creative control. I lost some creative control because I had to do a portrait of a specific person and I had to get a likeness, which I personally, when I do portraits, I don't want to care about the likeness at all. I want to experiment with texture and shape and edge and just make it a cool looking person. I don't care about I do care about the specific person and trying to capture their energy, but I don't want it to be a portrait that the parents of this person put on their wall and say, that is my daughter. That I lose some creative control because I have to do this specific thing. There's an objective for me. And also, usually it was off of someone else's photograph, which I didn't like, usually. And so I figured out that creative control is extremely important to me. And if I don't have it, I'm not going to enjoy the job. Maybe it's the same for you, and you need to find jobs where you still have a lot of creative control. Because you could have a job where you still have a lot of creative control.
Answer. Identify what it is that you really care about.
Yeah.
And while you have it in your control, in the early stages when you're not dependent on it for money, you have it in your control. Why not seize that opportunity? Remember, your portfolio steers your career. Your skills lead to a portfolio. Your portfolio is what people hire you for. And if I remember in the 60s and 70s, there were all sorts of artists who made it in the entertainment art fields, comics and that kind of thing. And they quit school because they had teachers that were emerging in universities at that time, that if they did stuff that was lowbrow art, if they did something as vulgar as comics, or if they wanted to do movie posters or whatever, they were frowned on. They were discouraged. They might have even been disallowed from doing it for school credit. So they knew enough to leave. And if you've got a love of a style or a love of a subject matter or a love of a medium or something like that, then that's in your control when you are preparing to become a professional. And then if you succeed at becoming a professional, then you have helped forge your own path by exploiting your period of control.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
All right. Next is Chris Wilddraw. Chris, you're on with us. Oh, what's up, Marshall? You got.
We're 2 hours into it, aren't we?
Yeah. I told John and Patrick to tell people in the waiting room that there's no way we're getting through 30 more people. So he's
sorry everybody.
Yeah.
We'll do what we can. Should we do 2 or 3 really fast?
Yeah. We'll do 3 more. So, Chris, are you here with us? You're still muted. There you go. Yeah, I still can't hear you, Chris. Okay, Chris, you're going back into the ready room. And Stupid Giant, what's up?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Nice to meet you all. I'm from Honduras, and you're all so grateful for doing this. My question is the following. I am a 3D artist. I've been doing art every day for 530 plus days, and I have felt that my art has improved, but I'm looking for the next step. So I'm wondering, what ways would you recommend me to get critiques? Where can I get them? What should I be looking out for?
Is this are you asking me to plug my website?
Yeah, this is an opportunity.
I mean, have you tried? I'm sure you know about the website. You're on here with
it. I
it.
know about the website, but I haven't tried yet. So PROKO 2.0.
That's where to go.
Thank you.
PROKO 2.0. I mean that's gonna be my answer, obviously. But there's so many ways you could try to get community. The best is still in person. I mean, we're coming out of the pandemic, and so hopefully there will be opportunities very soon. There are already opportunities to meet with people and go to live drawing sessions and build community in person with people around you. We didn't have that for over a year, unfortunately, but I still believe, even though I'm running an online community, I still believe the best is in person, and so you should try if you can to do that. And then there's also PROKO 2.0.
Yeah, even if the best is in person, which I would question that, but even if it is.
Marshall, you're stuck, but it's okay.
Oh, really?
You're stuck on a very pleasant smile of you.
Well,
so
let
at
me
least
try
it was,
something.
at least
I'm
it got
gonna
stuck
turn
on
off my camera and then turn it back on. See if that makes a difference.
But it's not as pleasant anymore. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Even if the best is in person, which I challenge, the best is not in person if it's with a person who can't help you that much. So if you've got the choice between someone in person who isn't that much help and someone online who is tremendous help, yeah, I do not profit from PROKO 2.0. But that is where I'd say.
Not yet. Well, you do.
Yeah, I may someday.
What do you mean you don't?
Stan has put something together where it's trying to make this so that people anywhere, you're in Honduras or anywhere else, have access. And it's so why not put that to use?
Yeah.
And I have another question. That was an easy one.
Hey, it's our first video, actually, I think.
Hey, thanks for turning on your camera.
Yeah, it helps a lot better. It makes me less nervous.
You're all the way at the bottom right, though, but it's okay.
There
you go. There you go.
Okay. So my next question is a little bit more convoluted. I had a super once in a life opportunity to talk to one of the biggest artists right now, and I was very excited. And I asked him for advice. His advice was for me to build up my name was to give out my work for free. That is not what I wanted to hear at the time. So I sort of got desperate and I wrote this big email maybe we should do this drop, this big event, when I have no experience. So I understand where he was coming from. So is there any way, how could I amend that relationship with him? Is it
well wait, hold on. I need to understand what the problem ended up being. I started my career by giving away a bunch of stuff for free, and I still do.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
I want to do this for a living, and since where I live in Honduras, the quarantine is kinda, sorta ish over. I'm going to have to go back to work relatively soon, and I don't really want that. I want to dedicate to this, but I cannot live off my dreams. You know, I cannot eat from air.
Right. Sorry, Marshall. Yeah, I adjusted the the position.
Yeah, it's okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, you have to find a balance. Like
The most common answer.
yeah, it depends. No, obviously you can't give away everything for free. I mean, I was giving away all my tutorials for free the first year because I had a job teaching at a school. I was making money in another way, and so I was okay giving away a bunch of stuff to grow something where I can have an audience to now sell things to. Because really, I mean, if you want to have an online business, you have to have an audience. If you have nobody to sell to, you cannot possibly make money. And so step one is grow your audience. And the quickest way to grow your audience is to give stuff away for free. It's just, you could do it very, very fast. If you're giving away something extremely valuable for free, people will flock to you. They will they will share it with all their friends, and you will have enough people that follow you to support a family within a year. Yeah, but you have to be giving away something extremely valuable for free so I don't know what you were giving away for free. What was it?
Artworks. I was trying to do artwork for like artists. That's like sort of gig I want to do.
Okay.
But the other part is like I was already charging. I already had like a couple commissions, so I felt like kind of guilty because people were like giving their money, putting their trust on me, and then it's like I'm just gonna give it for free, you know.
Okay, so that's different. Yeah, you're not building an audience doing that. So the value you're getting back by giving away something for free is much smaller than the value I got back by growing an audience. You
enjoy your apple.
yeah, well, Marshall knows it's a question for me. So I would say that if you need money to support yourself, start charging a little bit. Start charging what you will get paid to do. If your skills are not at a level where you can charge industry standards for something, well then you're going to make zero by trying to charge for it. So, but if you can charge like 20% of what the people who have, decades of experience, then charge 20% of that and slowly increase it as people are willing to pay more for your stuff. I think it's okay to undercharge in the beginning. I know people disagree with it, but yeah, I've talked about it several episodes.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
Yeah.
I like your answer, Stan.
Okay, thanks.
We give stuff away for free. You give stuff away for free. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to make money.
If you can do it.
Yeah. What's that?
Part of the business, right?
It is.
I guess.
It is, yeah.
Costco gives stuff away. They give food away for free when you go in there.
That's true.
And they probably spend a fortune on it. When you see how many people, like vultures.
Yes, they flock to it.
They're sending on all of those
I'm
food
one of
samples.
those vultures,
They wouldn't
by the
keep
way.
doing it if they weren't making money from it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I am one of those vultures that just goes to Costco on Saturday morning, feeds my son breakfast, feeds myself breakfast, and then buy a shitload of stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So it's part of their business
They've worked
plan.
it out very carefully that all those free samples are back at the back of the store.
They're around the perimeter, right? But there's none in the front.
Designed it all very carefully.
Yeah.
You got the $3,000 screens at the front, so you can say, "Oh, I can't afford that," and then you go back. Oh, it's only $15.99. Yeah, I got that.
Yeah. That's funny. I love it. Anyway, Stupid, do you, his name is Stupid Giant. Stupid, do you have any other follow-up questions, or are we done?
The other thing is, like I said, I sent, honestly, a pretty cringy email to him. So how do
apologize.
Yeah.
If you messed up, apologize. Own up to your mistake. Yeah.
Okay. It's really surreal to
Yeah.
actually speak with you. I watch pretty much every single podcast. I always do it when I do my daily. Thank you all for what you do. I know
Yay!
it's kind of hard to get like good art, like instructions or like guides. So I really appreciate all the hard work you do.
Thank
I'll
you.
be checking out
We're
PROKO
part of your
2.0.
life in Honduras. Great.
Nice. Thank you,
Thank
Stephen.
you. Good to see you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we need to figure out a quicker way for me to switch between our guest and us. Because right now I'm just like trying to get the screen in the right position. It's a mess. Anyway, Maddie is coming in. Hello, Maddie. Maddie. Hi.
Hi.
Marshall, hi, Stan.
How are
This
you?
is so easy. Oh my god. Okay. So, to start my question, I'm an artist in high school. I've been drawing all my life, and I do believe that for my age, I am kind of, I excel in art, I believe.
Cool.
But my concern is that I do have like this ambitious idea of creating a comic, and I don't really know how to approach that. I want to get it animated and I'd like to put it out there, and I kind of don't know how to approach creating it. Well, I have ideas, but I don't know how to put it together and hopefully get in contact with pros, maybe get a mentor. And what should I focus on first, basically?
Taking the first step.
Making the first comic, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're thinking about animating it already. You haven't even made the comic.
Yeah.
Focus on making the comic. I mean, really, and this one idea you have might not end up being the one that gets animated. It might be the first comic you make, then you might make a second, a third, a fourth, and then you get really good at making comics. And then your fifth one is amazing, and people will ask you to animate it and buy, get a license deal or whatever. Yeah, you got to realize that what you have, this ambition, this drive to make this comic, is gold. It's so valuable that you have this drive, because a lot of people struggle with the opposite, where they don't know what to do, they're not sure, they don't have, they're doing assignments but they're not motivated. You know exactly what you want to do it, follow that drive, and just take that step and do it, and realize while you're doing it, be okay with failing at it, but try not to fail.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm also concerned with, because right now I'm kind of a little bit just doing by myself, and I don't really have like direct teaching or anything. I want to join, PROKO.com and all that, and hopefully get lessons, but I do hopefully would like a concrete way to go about it, basically.
Yeah.
There's lots of resources available to you. Are you familiar with Scott McCloud's books?
No.
Oh, Maddie, don't miss this book, Understanding Comics.
How do you just have all these books on your table?
Well, I had it right behind me. Understanding
okay.
Comics is a wonderful book. I've only read it twice. I would read it many more times, but the reason I don't read it again soon is that I'm not making comics for a living, and every time I read it, I feel like I don't want to do anything for the rest of my life except create comics, because they are a marvelous medium. There's so much you can do with it. He also has another book called Reinventing Comics. It's not as good as this one, but it's thought-provoking. He has another one called Making Comics. And you have got access to more resources for if you want to go into this as a way to make a living. It's a hard way to make a living, but some people make very good livings with it. But yeah, that's your first job, is to research this field. I have another student who is just recently, in the last couple of weeks, we've had a long conversation about how do you become a professional graphic novelist and say, that's how I want to make my money, and I know that this is hard. How do I do it? Go to the resources that are already available. Start with Scott McCloud. Don't miss Alan Moore's Writing for Comics. It's not a comprehensive book at all. It's very quirky. It's very him, but it's got good insight. And then you've got probably half a dozen. In fact, go to my website under graphic novel, under the recommendations of books, and you'll find the ones that I most recommend and that I'm most familiar with. But I'll tell you, there's 100 more that aren't on my website. I'm just giving you the ones that I know are worth your time from having put students in those directions. So there's the first thing. Get your education in how a person in comics or graphic novels makes a living.
And you said that you're not sure where to go, like you're not sure what to do, you need a mentor to guide you. You maybe are not ready for a mentor. Maybe you are, but maybe you're not, because once you start, or until you start trying something and you have actual problems that you have to ask questions about, the mentor might not be able to help you that much. If you already have some experience making a comic and you messed up, it's pretty clear what you need to work on, and you know about yourself now what you're confused about. You can go to a community online, you can go to a professional, and you can ask them specific questions that will help you. But right now, if you haven't even started, like, you don't know what to...
I've just been focusing on trying to hone my craft, trying to get better at rendering, learn the fundamentals, the fundamentals, but I need to try to get as good as I can before I jump into that.
Not
it's
before.
Kind of intimidating.
Not before.
No, just do it.
During. Do both.
And did you notice that when you said rendering, both Stan and I simultaneously rendering is not a priority in telling a good story.
No,
Maddie.
No.
You've got to get the priorities right. I can take less than a minute. Priority 1 is to love your medium and form, which is graphic novels, and you're more specific. It's action adventure comics, or it's manga, or it's a lot of autobiographical ones. Know your form and your medium. And then another thing is to understand story. Go to those books that I recommend on story. You do not want to miss what makes a story something that people care about, and they don't read it because they love you and they're your family. They read it because you've hooked them and brought them into the story. Don't neglect that. That's a few years of attention. And then the things about drawing and painting or photography or modeling or whatever else you're going to do, the medium for how you're going to tell your story visually, and all the other stuff that you will pick and choose from because it helps to tell your story. Rendering being perhaps one of the least important, at least.
Marshall, your video was off.
In Barry Lyndon, rendering was very important.
Okay, I think you're
what is
telling that. In the movie that I mentioned earlier, lighting is very important in that movie. So that's where rendering. That's unusual. You
What's
can
the
tell
movie
a
again?
Really good story. Barry Lyndon, Lyndon, 1975. Kubrick's long, slow masterpiece. If you multitask while you watch it, you will never understand why it's any good. Give it 100% attention on a high-resolution screen in the dark. Up big, filling your field of vision.
Can you repeat what it is again so I could write it down?
Yeah. Barry Lyndon.
Wait, what?
High resolution.
Okay.
Dark room, big screen, up close to the monitor. Did we run out of time, Dan? You're welcome, Maddie. I hope it was helpful. You got a lot ahead.
Let's do one more. So Patrick and John, if you're hearing this, I see people there's more than one more people that you have prepared. Can you please apologize to them? Because Rice is the next one up. Hello, Rice. You are the last one.
Hello, son, Marshall. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make it good, Rice, because you're the last person.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, all right. Well, my problem is just that I have a really hard time trying to finish my paintings, and it's not like I don't plan them. I go through like a week or so to plan the whole painting, but then if I start the rendering process, I always feel sleepy, and then I just don't, or either I feel sleepy or I just don't know how to finish the rendering to make it look how I wanted it in the thumbnail version that I made out. Like, it doesn't look exactly as I wanted its look in the first place.
Okay. Yeah. That's normal. That means you're learning how to shade, right?
High hopes and everything. Yeah, and everything. Yeah, it's not rendering like they're full on painting. I'm trying to get this look with traditional art, like just to make it similar with like paintings like Nikolai Fetching and just that kind of painterly style, and Adortaika, just two artists in particular.
How long have you been studying? Seriously?
Seriously for 3 years now.
3 years now?
3 years. And, yeah, and my process, I think I think I have gotten really far with it. At least that's what people tell me, that I am past the intermediate level a bit in some areas. I have gone through all the fundamentals as far as I trust myself, but I'm at the point where I don't really get too much benefit from critiques, because it's like I just need to spend time working through the whole process in my head to see what works. But the thing is, I always start the painting, and then along the way everything just starts falling apart, and I lose the painting. And I just feel so terrible, because it started out well, and there are pieces of the painting that look really well done, but yeah, I just can't get anywhere with it. And I was wondering if there's anything that maybe there's anything that from what I've said so far that can indicate what I'm really lacking in my process, or if because it's really difficult to proceed in my. I don't really have any finished paintings that I can say. It's mostly finished sketches that I have, but finished sketches and drawings, but not really any paintings.
Have you done any drawings or paintings where you've spent more than 10 to 15 hours on it?
I have spent the maximum I've spent here is 10 hours, I guess, on a master study that I did.
Okay.
It was mostly master studies that I was doing, trying to copy the rendering style.
That's good.
Yeah, I haven't really spent on my own work 10 hours.
I would say that you need to start spending 10 to 15 hours on drawings from life, not just on master studies, because master studies are very useful, and it's great that you're doing them, but it's a different thing that you're learning from if you have something in front of you and you're trying to solve your own problems now. It's much more challenging, because the masters have already solved most of the difficult stuff for you. They've created a picture that looks really good, and now you're just trying to copy their surface, the thing that they did already. They've already composed it. They've already figured out the value structure. They've already figured out the edges, where these edges are going to lose. They're going to soften these a little more. They're going to pick out a few really sharp edges over here to make the composition work. They figured out the gesture. Everything works already. When you have something that you're looking at from life, it's raw. It's just like what you have in front of you. And in order to make it look good in a rectangle, there's a lot of problems you have to solve. And that's a totally different thing. And you need to start spending more than 10 hours on some of these, if that's what you're really trying to get good at. If you really want to get good at shading and getting that like realistic look, you got to do more of that. And start looking at Stephen Bauman and ask him some questions, because that's like where he excels in teaching that kind of stuff. Do you know Stephen Bauman?
You just did something with him in the last day or two, didn't you?
Yeah, yesterday. Did you catch his live stream yesterday? Right?
Yeah, well, no.
I'm sorry I haven't seen it, but
no,
I did
not
see
you,
that
Marshall.
It was there, and it looks great.
Rice, did you see it?
No, I have seen some of his live streams, and his work isn't really the kind of finish I'm trying to get in my paintings. I want to get something free with a lot of brushwork in it, and that's like, it's more expressive.
Yeah, so, but you can't get that without understanding what those expressive brushstrokes express. Those expressive brushstrokes come from a deep understanding of reality and what it takes to have something look real while still being simplified. Nikolai Fetching can render something to look photorealistic. And because of that, he can now simplify it, he can stylize it, he has full control of every mark because he understands what effect it'll have to the viewer.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does this become more frustrating to you?
It means that you've got a lot ahead, but
Well,
you can enjoy it.
I have a little bit of like I don't really have access to live models from where I live because the art in my country is very poor. We don't have any art schools. We don't have any art community like that.
Yeah.
Just mostly what the art community here focus on is charcoal, hyperrealism, and it's not really what I want to do. So it might be difficult for me to get into this drawing from life. I've always been drawing from reference.
Drawing from life doesn't mean drawing from living things. It doesn't mean that you have to draw from a person. You can draw from a sculpture from life, right? I mean, I don't know. You might not have access to casts as well, but you do have access to stuff, to real things around you. Find something that you think is beautiful and draw that thing. It could be like you could go outside and you think a tree is beautiful. You could do that as well. But that's not as fun, obviously, as a person. I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to look around me. Marshall, give me walk around and find something.
I'm going to
beautiful.
throw something in here. I want to throw something in here about expressivity. I watched the first episode of Ken Burns' country music documentary from about 2 years ago. And there's a guy that they spotlighted, DeFord Bailey. Look him up, DeFord Bailey. This kid had polio when he was like 3 years old, and he had to be confined to a bedroom, and he had a harmonica that was given to him almost as a baby. And he listened to trains. Trains went by where they lived over the time, and he imitated trains with his harmonica. He also imitated the baying of dogs. And this kid, without a teacher, is so creative that when he hears sounds in the world, he imitates them with his harmonica, and he became an innovative harmonica player because inspiration is anywhere that a creative person chooses to be inspired by it. So if you're looking for subject matter, I encourage you. I'm having students do it in these first few weeks of the boot camp that we're in. You go to your shelf, you go to the things you love, you go to what you collect, and you say, these are things that even if they are not related directly to art making, colored rocks, tree bark, anything, you can find a way to say, I'm going to indulge in that, and it's going to help me find my technique, find my compositional styles, find all sorts of things. But it is, when you present a question like this, it's like a lot of these questions today. It's, I'm in a cocoon and I'm struggling to get out of it, and I'm tangled, and I got my little finger here and my leg is tied, wrapped around my neck. And the most we can say is maybe we can say, well, try moving your elbow back, and that'll get you out of it. We can see it. But more than likely, it's going to be relax, try to figure out what your next move is. You've got to struggle out of your own cocoon. You cannot have somebody cut you out of it. So the struggle is actually what makes you strong enough to live when you're out of it.
Yeah. Everybody's going to struggle with something forever. And you have to figure out how to deal with that. That's part of life. And Marshall and I are struggling with things constantly.
That really makes
But I remember the moment I fell in love with drawing. I was very, very young. I don't know, maybe like 8. And I remember I was home by myself, maybe? No, someone's probably upstairs. But I had paper, and I started drawing. Do you remember the video game Keen? Keen. Well, anyway, I started drawing the levels, like on this. I had this grid paper, and I started drawing all the levels. And then pretty quickly, I was like, "This is pretty fun. I'm making like these pictures."
Oh, no.
And then I just like started looking around me, and I found a teacup. in the kitchen. And I put the teacup in front of me, and I just started drawing the teacup. Nobody told me to do this. I was just like, well, I'm just going to do this. And I started trying to render it, and I did a decent job. I was just like observing and drawing what I saw. And I fell in love with it. And then for like that month, I filled up my sketchbook with drawings of things in my house. And they were the most boring things, like teacups and vacuum cleaners. Like, but the process of just like looking at something and putting it down on paper as like an 8-year-old to me was amazing. And from then on, I just loved that process. And so it doesn't have to be, you don't have to follow these things, like these stories that you hear of other people going to life drawing workshops. Like, this is not the only path to mastery. You can create your own path. You got to realize that like you have certain skills you have to learn. You live in a specific environment, and you have advantages to where you live, and you have disadvantages to where you live. And you have to figure out how to navigate the boat that you are on, or whatever. I'm just putting a lot of like metaphors together.
Yeah, mixing your metaphors. That's okay.
But anyway, I hope this helps, Rice. Learn
Thanks
to
very
enjoy
much.
this
Yeah,
journey, though.
that really helps.
Enjoy it.
Does.
Really try to enjoy it. If you don't, you're gonna quit.
I believe in that.
Yeah. Okay. So Marshall, John says we need to take one more. It's because it's worth it.
Okay.
So Celia will be our last one.
Okay, Celia. Hi, Celia.
Oh, she's not in yet. Okay. Hi, Celia. You are our last person. Are you still here?
Hi there.
Go.
Oh God. Oh my God. Hi
We hear
guys.
you.
I'm Marshall Stan.
Hi.
Oh God. I'm so excited to be here. Okay.
It's not that great. You're just here with us.
Emotion.
Okay. Yeah, so much emotion. I've been following us for so long. So my question has to do with the mental health, more kind of aspect of doing art.
Okay.
At the moment, I've currently been in a burnout phase for, I think, probably 3 months. I can barely like look at my drawing table or my desktop computer, and I just can't physically get to drawing. And it's really painful because I've always been drawing all my life, and it feels like it's a part of me. But it's very painful for me to get back into drawing. And it's also been very hard to understand why I keep burning out, because this is not the first time that it's happened to me. Like, it always happens to me at least once a year for multiple months. And at this point, since it's a constant in my journey, I have to wonder whether it's actually like I'm not meant to do art. Maybe it's not my path. Maybe it's not what I'm meant to do. Or, because I've tried everything. I've tried figure drawing. I even had a course with Jeff Watts online. I've tried digital sculpting, digital painting. I've done everything, but nothing seems to fulfill me. Maybe that, I don't know.
Has drawing ever fulfilled you before?
I think, yeah, absolutely.
So
I love creating pretty pictures, pretty characters, but,
Okay. Well, so we're not psychiatrists. So we won't be able to solve your problem here right now on the show.
Yeah.
But we could we could just give you our opinions, I guess, but it probably won't help that much.
Sure.
I have an opinion.
Everything else.
Yeah, go ahead, Marshall.
My first opinion is don't just go right back into the cycle again.
Right.
Don't just say, okay, 3 months, 4 months, now I feel better, I'll do it again. You have done it enough to see that there's a pattern, and the pattern is that you burn out. So the first thing I would do is take a break and build a support team of people who say, I am going to go back into it, but I'm going to go back into it with some friends observing, with my smart friends, with my honest friends observing. And then when you go back into it, do it where you're watching to see how the burnout happens. And that way you might be able to troubleshoot that you're developing an attitude, you're developing a compulsion, that you've taken on more than you need to, that you're listening too much to the teacher, that you're not listening enough to the teacher. It's going to be different for every person. But I would not just say, no, just get back on the treadmill, because then it can become a life habit. That's my first thought, is take a break, gather yourself. I feel like the best image I can offer you is a reset button. And then notice what happens when you go at it again. You are prepared to observe what happens. And if you could do this with a professional therapist, that would be the best way. It could cost a lot of money. That's why I suggest that if you've got some smart and honest friends, sometimes it is your friends, your community, that can say, hey, you know, what just came out of your mouth reveals that you feel like this is a burden that you don't want to do. But you're right, Stan. We can't.
Yeah.
We can't, Celia, without knowing you and observing you and serving as unlicensed, amateur, and lousy therapists, contribute much to you here.
Celia, I got a question.
Yeah, thank you. Sure.
When you go through these times where you are not motivated to draw or paint or whatever, create art, are you motivated to do something else? Is there like a different thing that your mind is set on at that time? Or is it just like everything in your life at that time sucks and you're just like going through a hard time?
Okay.
Is it just art or is it life?
There might be a delay or something.
Did we lose you, Celia?
She's still here.
So, okay, usually I must say it's more like it's a general thing. Like I don't have a lot of motivation in anything. No.
Okay.
No, sometimes it's life, but I must say it's a delay. Yeah. I can hear you.
Oh,
Can you
there's
hear
a
me?
pretty big delay then, huh? Yeah, that's like 30
no.
seconds.
It is. Let's let the delay.
Guys,
let's
can you hear me?
ignore the delay.
Here, I'm
Yes.
gonna bring her
Celia?
out and then bring her back in. Hey, Celia, can you hear us now?
A long and frightening pause.
Interesting.
Celia, if you can hear us. I got another thing I want to add about observing what happens when you go back into it.
Well, anyway, she could hear this afterwards. Basically, if... Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Is it working?
Yeah, I guess, but very, very delayed working. She's going to hear what I'm saying now in like 30 seconds, and she's going to stop talking.
Oh.
Oh, man.
I don't know. I'm hearing this
Celia?
right now. I don't know when. Okay.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a
I want to throw one more thing in here, and even if you don't hear it now, you can hear it on the replay.
Yeah.
One of the things, well, we lost Celia.
I took her. It wasn't good.
One of the things that, okay, I think that a professional therapist would look at is how much of this is coming from external environment and how much is coming from within. Because if it's coming from external environment, then you say you don't go by the toxic dump anymore. You don't get involved in that relationship with that person anymore. You don't expose yourself to those external things that are causing the trouble. That's one thing to watch for. The other is that given a Garden of Eden, you can screw it up. And that's coming from inside. Given something that car shouldn't break down during this, what is it that's going on inside you? That's where a therapist can help, is to at least separate some big sets of opposites for where to look. That's what you do when you troubleshoot. Well, we know it's not the camera. Well, we know it's not the internet connection. Well, we know that it's this. You rule out what seems to be not contributing and narrow down to what is. It's a big, complex problem. I hope this gave you one little bit of help.
Yeah.
Stan, anything you would add before we go?
Yeah, the reason I was asking if it was external or something within the art was because, like, if she was still motivated to do other things, I think that's totally normal. Like I have those moments all the time where I jump from one thing to another, and I'm interested in so many things that it's natural for my mind to just really cling on to something for a while and then kind of trickle away a little bit and then really cling on to something else. And that's totally okay. It has worked for me. I've learned how to navigate my life with that kind of brain. I think it's totally fine. I actually feel like, to me, it's an advantage that I'm able to really, really, really focus on something for a certain time and then switch to something else and then learn from all these different disciplines and combine them. But if it's something external, then that's where you got to go see a therapist, I think, because it's some big thing in your life that's causing you to lose motivation and everything, and I have no idea how to help you. Sorry. Yeah. I'm not the professional to seek help from.
Yeah, and if we have a professional therapist, if we get a really good, insightful therapist to be our guest on the podcast, it probably won't be free.
Yeah. Is it ever free?
This is the free advice. Go to the amateurs who can really screw up your psyche.
Yeah.
But they didn't charge anything for it.
Well, you can get a therapist that charges you that really screws you up too. So.
Oh, therapists are like artists.
Yeah, there's good ones and there's bad ones. Is that what you're?
Yeah, you cannot quantify a great deal of the gift. A friend of mine, who she made her living for years as a marriage and family therapist. She told me that some of the best therapists that she's ever met were people who were not therapists. They were just people who had insight to look you over and know what it was you needed. So there is a kind of a gift to it of being in touch with what a person needs. But there is a reason why professionals become professionals. And the best I understand is they look for patterns, they diagnose patterns, they make you aware. Once you're aware, then that's a step toward being able to do something about it. If we're not aware, if we don't even know what's going wrong, there's no way we can fix it. We're stabbing around.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we pointed outside our profession.
Cool. Marshall, I think we're done. That was the last. There's no. I think John and Patrick have kicked everybody out.
Stop this talk. Yeah. Is this about losing mood? I think that we overstayed our welcome.
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know why John pressured us to do another one. We were obviously not qualified for that.
We've never gone this long.
I'll have a talk with John. John, you know I'm an artist, right? Okay. Marshall, what do you got to promote today? Just kidding. Oh, you're lagging.
Promote right now. How about you?
Just PROKO 2.0. Say thank you again to everybody. This has been very stressful and very difficult, but extremely exciting month and a half. It is just really awesome to watch, to launch this thing and actually see people use it. It's been amazing. But it's not done. We're not like, oh, it's not over. PROKO 2.0 is now just PROKO. Minus the 2. PROKO 2.0 minus 2. And we're just going to keep building, keep trying to make it better. And thank you guys.
I think the best is yet to happen.
Yeah. For sure. We have so many awesome things coming up. It's going to be great. All right, John. I feel like it's time for you to click that button on your end and end the stream. And Marshall and I have no idea when you have ended it.
Yeah. Okay.